Vampire the Masquerade, Parliament of Knives Part 2. Yeah, hello, welcome Mark Hunter, and whoever else is in the stream. I hope my tomodachis, my friends, are in the stream to help me get watch time. Yeah, wait. Oh, I forgot to turn on the music. Hold on. How do I turn on? I have to press play. There we go. There's the music. Yeah, start off with music. Alright. So, we're doing... Oh, hey, hello, Elite Trainer. Welcome. So, what did we do when we last left off? So, the reason why I put... So, before we start, I'm just gonna say, the reason why I started I put the so last week it was also on Saturday, the Vampire the Masquerade Parliament of Knives, but I think next week I'm thinking I'm gonna have this on Monday. So I left it like 1 week so that if you haven't tuned in to the stream, you can have time to watch the VOD. But I think next week, I think I might do it on Monday, so that means you only got 1 day to watch the VOD. I might change it though. I might change it actually. Maybe I'll put it on Tuesday. Oh no, I know, I'll put it on Thursday. Actually, yeah, I'll put it on Thursday, so never mind. So you get like 4 days to catch up on the VOD. But yeah. Alright, so what did happen when we last left off? Okay, so there we are in... It's Canada, right? Like Ottawa, I think? And then we're a vampire, we're kind of playing all sides. We're a Toreador, which is like the artsy clan. And then we've kind of been playing all sides, and then we just investigated this house, and then there was this vampire who was like strung up, and like her flesh was like torn, so we had to like save her. But then when she woke up, she didn't remember anything about herself, but she thinks that she herself is 𝒖💂💂 who is our sire's name, like the person who made us. So now we're like sus, like who done it. It's kind of like a whodunit mystery right now. Average Toreador playthrough. Yes, very, very apt. Alright, we'll just start. I'll have a cup of water here, and I have some more water, so hopefully we'll be okay. Alright, Chapter 4, Council. This is unheard of, Corliss. Such a thing would never have happened under Arendelle's watch. Alicia Gray stalks a thin aisle between the seats of the council chamber's front row and a lectern behind which the seneschal glowers at her silently. The Toreador Primogen was the last to arrive, and from her golden hair's perfect curls and immaculate makeup, it's evident even to the least observant kindred that her tardiness was, as usual, an exercise in vanity. Her voice carries throughout the chamber, cutting like a knife as it rebounds with perfect acoustics to each and every ear present. There are 32 such ears in total, 2 for each powerful council member, with the unusual addition of Jordan and yourself. 𝒂𝒏𝒄 gets to his feet, glaring at Alicia as he straightens a lifelike mask of a dignified middle-aged man to properly align to his true facial features hidden beneath. Only his eyes show through the delicately carved holes in the mask's too perfect face, and they're bloodshot with what you can only imagine is fury. This is not the time for self-promotion, Nosferatu says with a barely suppressed growl. It doesn't matter whose watch this happened under, only that we get to the bottom of it and execute the guilty. Imagine if this crime goes unpunished. If every neonate in this city believes that their Primogen are easy meat. He doubles over as a gut-wrenching gurgle cuts off his speech. Take the mask off, Michelle, Alicia says, her lips curled in a discreet smile. It's hard enough for you to speak without it. We all know what you look like. There's no need to be shy. The same could be said for you, slag, Bouchard gurgles. That painted face belongs in one of your disease-infested dollhouses, not a council of your peers. Cease this infantile bickering at once, Corliss says without rising from her seat. Her voice is icy cold. We're not here to posture. Alicia sniffs. She knows better than most that facts often play second fiddle to politics. Everyone in the room knows, even if they would never admit to such a thing out loud. Petty squabbles are beneath me. Power is won with influence, not unproductive bickering. Key stands up by Corliss's right. Face locked in a scowl. It's Key, right? Or is it Queen? I think it's Key. Enough of this. For over a week, our prince has been missing, and now the last of us to see him has been attacked in her home. Stakes. Driven to dementia. If this doesn't cause you to feel alarmed, then I suggest you pack your bags tonight and leave the city. The assembled kindred murmur disapprovingly. No one is above suspicion, Key continues, undeterred. I'll be speaking to each of you privately when this council is concluded. This is a farce, Sheriff, a deep voice calls out from the other side of the room. The speaker stands. He's dressed eccentrically in flowing blood-red ceremonial robes, and his face is pinched like he just caught a whiff of a terrible smell. Jordan leans close and whispers in your ear. Someone likes to get dressed up. Leave it to the last Tremere in Ottawa to draw attention to himself for no good reason. A farce, Lang. Pui raises an eyebrow. Does something about this situation amuse you? The fact that you suggest we blame members of our own esteemed council is the issue, Lang says. Ottawa is newly besieged by a revived anarch presence led by a renegade you know to have a history with our departed prince. And yet, you'd have us biting at each other's heels, fighting amongst ourselves while the clear enemy gathers strength from our weakness. His eyes wander the chamber, eventually lighting on you. Briar had a close encounter with the Bruja, Robert Ward. I am informed that the Anarch took particular interest in her. Tell me, as one so recently assaulted by that rabid dog, where do you believe our good sheriff should turn his gaze? You swallow your nerves as 14 powerful kindred turn to watch you intently. You try not to dwell on how many collected centuries they have existed and how any one of them could destroy you with relative ease. I don't think Ward did this. Also, hello, Mr. Du Bois. I don't think Ward did this because I feel like, pinning, I think. Okay, wait. Pinning blame of the Anarchs is no, wait. I don't think it's their style, but at the same time, I feel like the third option makes more sense. That the mind has been tampered with, and only certain clans have mind tampering powers, so a Bruja wouldn't be able to do it. Well pointed out, Briar. Such abilities only run in the bloodlines of certain clans. I could no sooner dominate a mind than stare directly into the sun. The response comes not from Lang, but from Kashif, the Banu Hakim Vizier you received for Corliss 2 nights prior. Lang would have us forget that it was not only the Bruja who left the city with souls harboring disdain for Arundel. The Tremere were furious when the prince extended his hospitality to my clan, and now only one of the warlocks remains here, a token of anger, a festering boil who wants to see the broken clan regain their lost honor. It is easy to look upon the outsiders with hate in our hearts, but it is injustice to punish them without determining proof of their guilt. He shifts towards Key. Is that not so, Sheriff? Key chooses his words carefully, taking his time. There is little benefit to punishing a guiltless party. We all have an interest in prolonging our own existence. Vivian Mayer was found not only staked, but bound to a crucifix with barbed wire. Her servants were poisoned, and her butler was cut open with ruthless precision. I would like to believe that if I were to find any of you in such a position, that you will want me to leave no stone unturned during the investigation. Everyone will be answering questions regarding their whereabouts. No exceptions. We could do no less, Sheriff. A voice rises with crisp clarity above the din of muttered bickering. Any loyal kindred should be prepared to answer your questions and aid the investigation. It's Ophelia, a primogen of Clan Malkavian. As you say, Vivian was the last of us to speak with Arundel. The sooner we can resolve this little dilemma, the faster we can move on and put a rest to these boorish rumors about our prince. She inclines her head in Key's direction. I'll speak with you as soon as the meeting is adjourned. Perhaps it is for the best, Kashif says in agreement from his seat beside Ophelia. The sheriff is only doing what he needs to do. That's strange, Jordan whispers. Why would she volunteer herself? Answering questions about their comings and goings is usually the last thing any of the council wants to do. Everything's a secret to these people. She's gotta be playing an angle. Key returns Ophelia's nod respectfully. We'll discuss the particulars in a moment. For now, I'd like to speak with Vivian while we have everyone assemble. All eyes to Vivian. Vivian Mayer walks hesitantly to the front of the room at the sheriff's request. Her shoulders are wrapped tightly in a white lace shawl, and she carries herself with cold self-assurance. It's hardly the level of composure you'd expect from a woman so recently crucified, but it is quintessential Vivian. You possess the ability to scry the soul, getting input into the emotional state of a subject at the expense of increasing your hunger. You know what? I think we can use Auspex here. Our hunger is only 1 dot. So I think we can spend our hunger to use Auspex. Miss Mayer, Key says, tell us. Corliss waves him aside. You're looking well, Vivian, she says, examining the recently assaulted kindred up and down with a disapproving frown. That legendary composure we know and admire, it's hardly indicative of forgetting oneself. The fog has mostly faded from my mind, Vivian replies with stony calm. Even as kindred, there is a certain degree of dismay incurred by having one's home invaded, being overpowered, and staked through the heart. I lost almost enough blood to sink into torpor, Eden. One might think you'd show a degree of understanding. She smiles, emphasizing her words to make her sarcasm more obvious. She expects no sympathy, nor does she require it. However, with your enhanced perception, you can tell that Vivian is not nearly as calm as she'd like the assembled council to believe. Wallowing in our own empathy won't apprehend your attacker. Corliss says, tell us what happened. Vivian's eyes go vacant for a moment, and it seems like she's looking inward, searching for a lost truth. There was a crash from the front door. My butler, Robert, was yelling. I left my study and walked to the top of the stairs, intending to make an example of whoever dared to interrupt me. Then someone came from behind. Powerful. Corliss leans forward. Who was it? A name, a sense, a smell, anything. The primogen shakes her head, her normally placid face wrinkled with sudden anxiety. You're surprised to find that the anxiety is manufactured. Your powerful abilities show her true feelings with certainty. She's nervous, but not about the attack. You'd say she's focused on the strength of her performance more than the story itself. If you can tell the truth, it's likely that other kindred with your abilities can as well. Why isn't she being called out on it? Maybe you should keep the knowledge to yourself until you know more, lest you step on a politically inopportune landmine. Nothing, she says. Just a feeling of helplessness I haven't experienced since I was a neonate. The next thing I can remember is coming out of the haze, feeding on the sheriff's mortal. Jordan nudges you. She hasn't mentioned how I found her, she whispers, her memory lost from before the assault. You think I should say something? You know what? I think we can learn as much about her story from what she doesn't say as what she says. Let her omit it. She can always be questioned later. Oh, Jordan says. I hadn't even thought of that. So you think she might be keeping that to tell Corliss after the meeting? Well, Key already knows because you told him, you say, so it makes sense that she'd have to admit it at some point. You know how things work with older kindred. It's all posturing. She doesn't want to lose face in front of the other primogen. Corliss leans forward, eyes watching Vivian for any tail or facial tic. So you remember nothing of being crucified? Staked? It seems unlikely that such memories could be easily wiped out, even by the most gifted of us, kindred or anarch regardless. Vivian shakes her head. The skin around her upper lip wrinkles as if she wants to snarl. You've never seen her this upset, but she's composed herself well, or at least that's the emotion she intends to exhibit. Your sire frowns. I'll review my files to discover which known kindred within the surrounding cities would have both the power and the inclination to do such a thing. The list will be small, and those on it might well be untouchable. She looks over to Key. You have your work cut out for you, and you have my resources at your full disposal. In the meantime, I want a full investigation into any and all anarch activity in the city and anywhere on the outskirts. Tell your officers whatever you want. I don't care if you have to suggest the possibility of a terrorist attack. Ward and his rabble must be found and dealt with. She eyes the other kindred, but none of them speak up. This council is dismissed. Lang gives an approving nod from the other side of the room, a smug smile plastered on his face. As the council members get up to leave, Key raises his voice over the murmuring crowd. Pardon the inconvenience, but please don't leave the building just yet. Each member of the council will have a short exit interview so I can collect a statement. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. The more we work together, the sooner Miss Mayer's attacker will be found and brought to justice. For a moment, it looks like a few may plan to leave anyway, but as he leads the more vocal descendants, 𝒂𝒎 slows, hand freezing on the handle to the chamber door. Damn it all, what's a few moments of our lost time to our centuries? To hell with it. I want the bastard caught too. It looks like you'll be here a while. You have the unusual opportunity to speak with any of these high-profile kindred you wish, so long as they are receptive to your advances. At the other end of the chamber, Luca appears from a door to Corliss's right and whispers something in her ear. Maybe she has some new information. You haven't had much time to talk to her since she returned to Ottawa, but then again, there are significantly more powerful vampires here tonight who might be worthwhile to curry favor with or seek knowledge from. So we got 𝒂𝒎 𝑪𝒓𝒆💂💕🔄, which we kind of already talked to. And then with Corliss we can talk to as well, which is our sire. And then Jordan is our Malkavian friend. I think I don't want to talk to the Tremere because you don't want to trust the Tremere, right? Ophelia and Kashif. Can I talk to only one person? I feel like I want to talk to like Luca and Ophelia and Kashif. Because Ophelia and Kashif, they seem like they have a motive. I'm gonna talk to Ophelia and Kashif first. You find the unlikely pair seated in the corner of the meeting room, Kashif nursing his wine glass, savoring the blood as he sips it through parched lips. He's wearing the same long robe as the last time you saw him in Corliss's office, only now it's slightly stained on the right arm, blood long dried and scrubbed, its nature hidden from mortal senses, but not your own. He looks tired, drained, like he's in the middle of the longest night of his unlife. Oh wow, she looks like Rapunzel kind of, like a dark Rapunzel. Ophelia looks up at you, piercing eyes staring through long blonde hair. I hope your sire enjoys her conversation with the good sheriff as much as I did, she says witheringly. He may mean well, but he asks more questions than most kindred will be comfortable with. Kashif places his empty glass on a nearby side table before replacing it with a full one. What is it that we can do for you, Miss Mare? I'm gonna talk to Ophelia. Ophelia smiles abruptly. Of course, Briar, I appreciate the offer, but your sire already knows my concerns well enough. They might be news to you, however. Kashif says. I shouldn't concern Briar with my personal troubles. Ophelia shakes off his hand. It should be said, Kashif. What needs to be said, you ask? That the prince's will must still be done until his return. Ophelia says. Kashif needs Arundel's help. He's been threatened for weeks and now he's been assaulted. Kashif's eyes flick to Corliss on the other side of the room. It's gotten worse since I last spoke to you, sire. I've been attacked in my own home during the daylight. The mortals knew when I would be awake to pray, if they'd come for me in my sleep. But perhaps their master wished to send a message. They did not expect God to protect me. They have learned otherwise. Fortunately, the attackers did not kill my gods. They only knocked them unconscious. He gestures to an empty chair beside him, and you sit. This news is disturbing. Maybe Corliss should be told. How did mortals break into your haven? Do you have defenses in place? I have wards, yes, Kashif says, but the mortals were charmed somehow. Who other than the children of Hakim knows blood sorcery well enough to accomplish such a feat? The Tremere no longer even try to hide their true intentions. They'll be forced into hiding soon enough, Ophelia says. Ophelia believes that nothing is amiss, Kashif says, that Arundel is still here, watching us. I dearly hope that she is right. Have some faith, Kashif, Ophelia says with a patient smile. There's nothing to be gained by jumping to conclusions. Kashif spreads his hands. Who am I to tell her otherwise until we have proof? Maybe Ophelia's right. I'd much rather this be an unannounced vacation than a true disappearance. Kashif shakes his head and replies to you. I have seen entire cities razed to the ground while both mortals and kindred did nothing but posture and play games. Such things should be absurd, but my experience tells me otherwise. This internal struggle we weave is an elaborate game, Briar. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. I thought things would be different here in the Americas, and things are different. Don't misunderstand me. But the worst elements of our culture remain unchanged when one peers past the window dressing. I am truly sorry that you have come here only to face renewed hardships. Please let me know how I can be of help. Again, you humble me, Kashif says. Unfortunately, there's little you can do aside from pleading my case once again to your sire. It is the way of the Camarillus ivory tower. Age and power supersede wisdom and compassion. We may beg and plead, but our elders only answer our call when it behooves them to do so. Our belief in justice has been tested, but we also believe in a chain of command. I've noticed that many young Camarilla appear to worship their elders as gods. He nods towards Corliss on the other side of the room. Would you cry out to your sire were you to find yourself in dire peril? Would you do everything in your power to keep her safe? And more importantly, is her word your law? He's fishing for something. His question has the feel of a test. You hesitate for a moment before giving your answer. I respect Corliss, and I follow her commands, but she is no god. A wise answer, Kashif smiles. Kashif replies, there is far too much chaos in our world, as it is without childer disrespecting their sires. Despite his positive response, he looks vaguely disappointed. Ophelia puts her hand gently on the vizier's arm and looks up at you. Would you excuse us for a moment, Briar? I need to have a private conversation. Of course, you reply. There's no point in offending them at this point, although the abruptness of the dismissal stings. The two of you have a good evening. We should speak again, the Banu Hakim offers. Good evening, Miss Mare. Okay, hold on. Drink sip of water. Let me know if I'm reading too fast, by the way. I've been told, like, in real life, that I tend to speak very fast. The entry door to the meeting hall bursts open, admitting 3 heavily muscled men in black suits leading a small group of mortals, sedated by the looks of it. You hear a nearby voice make a joke about ordering room service. One of the men adjusts his collar uncomfortably, courtesy of the sheriff. In appreciation for your patience, he calls out from the side room where he's interviewing the attendees one by one. You look back and forth between the sheriff and his mortal offerings with momentary confusion. This strikes you as unusual. Is he trying to prove something to the Primogen? A show of power? At least it seems to have calmed down some of the anger in the room already. Maybe that was the goal. Either way, it's an extravagant gift. Drawn by a hunger that's never truly sated, you approach the shambling meal along with the others, each pairing off with the victim before breaking away. When you grab hold of yours, however, her eyes widen with terror as she attempts to pull away. Her lips tremble. "But please," she stutters. "I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know." She's struggling to get the words out. Whatever keys men used to drug her clearly isn't working as well as it did on the others. Her dark curled hair is slick with sweat pooling on her forehead. "I can pay you whatever you want. Just don't make me forget again. I don't even know how many times I've done this. How many times? I think I'm going insane." "I don't feel entirely comfortable, but I have to eat. Once I feed, my bite will calm her nerves." "Perhaps you've become too accustomed to having your meals delivered to you in an entirely willing form, but your discomfort is not enough to overcome the irresistible urges of your undead craving for blood. You sink your fangs into her neck and drink deep, savoring the blood's sweet taste. You can't be certain, but you believe the woman is high society. If not, then she's been well kept and comfortable. You feel an immediate relief as you slake your thirst before removing your fangs from her neck, licking the woman's clothes with a quick swipe of your tongue. It's almost second nature to you now. The well-dressed thugs take her from you, and she follows them without a word, her legs unsteady, a slight smile plastered on her face. There's no sign of the scared woman you'd seen just a minute before, only the glossy eyes of Chattel. You hear Key call out for another interviewee from the side room. It looks like you'll be here for a while yet. I'm gonna talk to Luca. Also, that's how she looks like. "Bizarre, what's going on lately?" Luca says as she shuffles a handful of papers together on top of Corliss's lectern. The handwriting is meticulous and small enough that you have to squint to read it. She notices you looking. "Notes from my meeting with Vivian the other night. Corliss wanted to see them right away after what happened. Were there any warning signs that she was forgetting herself or losing control?" you ask. Luca shakes her head. "Nothing. She was sharp as a goddamn tack. Damn near took my head off when she realized why I was really talking to her. She claimed that everyone already knew that we had no idea where Arundel disappeared to, but I'm pretty sure she was lying. I have a knack for seeing through bullshit. There were a couple of pampered-looking licks there who I didn't know. They were leaving just as I arrived. Had to look up their names once I got back. Jasmine and Andrea. Toreadors. Not exactly powerhouses, but also more than a blip on the radar. Do you know them?" "They've been here for a few years, you say. I read about them when I was filing Corliss's records." Luca nods. "Not really suspicious in and of itself, but I'll advise Key to watch over them." She makes a note on the back of one of her papers. "Anyway, how was your talk with 𝑮𝒂𝒎? Did you learn anything interesting?" Tremere in the sewers under Parliament Hill." Luca whistles. "Yeah, that's serious business if he's telling the truth. Arundel made it pretty clear that he didn't like any of us going down there. I remember a big fight back when he was Seneschal under Prince Cranston. Cranston was a Nosferatu, and she insisted that putting Havens under Parliament Hill was safe, but Arundel said it was a masquerade violation waiting to happen. Mortals watching for terror attacks or something. You gotta admit, it's a pretty stupid place to have a haven. Not the safest choice, no. You have to agree. We should keep this to ourselves for now, I think," Luca says. "Corliss is getting really friendly with the warlocks lately, and she'll be pissed when she finds out 𝑮𝒂𝒎's been keeping tabs on them." She taps the long nail of her index finger on the lectern. "There's not much to go on, but it may be worth keeping an eye on him just in case. Corliss wouldn't have sent you down there without a good reason." She motions for you to walk with her as she sweeps her hair back over her shoulder. "It's auburn today, but you're sure it was dark blue the night you both hunted Robert Ward. By contrast, you look a bit of a mess. although you're doing well enough considering how the sheriff was at your door almost immediately after you woke, and you've been on the move ever since. Did Corliss tell you why she brought me back to Ottawa? She hasn't mentioned it, no. You've been away for a while. I'm sure she had a good reason. Luca frowns. That's just it. She hasn't given me any explanation at all. Other than her new investigation, I feel like I'm treading water here. What did she have you doing overseas anyway? I was running the international branches of her businesses. It's why she embraced me. I'm very good at what I do, and as long as the money keeps coming in, she's always been content to leave me to my work. It's fulfilling in its own kind of way. Sometimes years go by like the snap of a finger. It was some kind of test, I think. She wanted to see how long I could hold up under the pressure. Luca's eyes are focused on someone over by the main door. You follow her gaze until it rests on Vivian. Her white lace shawl stands out in a room full of black and grey tones. A shiver runs down Luca's arms and into her hands. She clasps them to her sides involuntarily. Why do you think they did it? They? You asked. Whoever assaulted Miss Mare. It couldn't have been one person who did that to her. If a supernatural entity that powerful was in Ottawa stringing kindred up, they wouldn't bother hiding in the shadows. I'm not sure. I haven't lived this unlife long enough to even have a grasp on many of the ancient secrets, but I know many supernatural forces work from the shadows. Well, they're certainly not working in the shadows anymore, Luca says. This was a warning of some kind, I'm sure of it, and that implies some sort of conspiracy. For two or more powerful kindred to work together, there has to be something damn important in play. She shivers again. Ugh. Why did it have to be a crucifixion, though? The sailor certainly has a flair for the theatrical. It feels like more than that, but I could just be projecting. It's hard to know sometimes. She bites her lip. It might sound weird to you, but I'm Catholic. Seeing an immortal crucified and then rising, hungry for blood, it isn't exactly faith-affirming. She looks more than a little embarrassed, as if she's confessing a deep dark secret to you. From what you know, there are a surprising number of kindred who have retained a version of their mortal faith. They even sometimes merge it with their new expanded understanding, since rising as the undead. Some believe that their cursed lineage leads back to the biblical Cain himself, cast out of Eden and cursed for eternity. Of course, others disagree, with origin myths ranging from Lazarus to the Egyptian god Osiris being debated at length among more scholarly kindred. I'm not Catholic. I'm technically Christian, but I don't. You know what? I'll say the first one. Like, I was a believer, but not anymore. I struggled myself, Luca confides. I went through a dark time where I was obsessed with the question of whether or not it would be a sin to take my own life. Suicide leads to damnation, but I'm already damned, right? Can I be twice damned? She chuckles and shrugs. It's an impossible question. So one day I worked up the nerve to walk into a church. I was afraid I'd burn up on the spot, but I ended up just fine. I looked up to Christ, and I saw he spoke to me and told me that his forgiveness extended to even vampires. Huh. I'm glad that you were able to find peace. I can't say I'll ever be entirely comfortable with what I am, Luca says, but I sleep better knowing that God hasn't abandoned me. She clears her throat. Sorry for the awkward tangent. I shouldn't let what happened to Vivian get to me. Corliss always said faith was my weak spot. I think your faith is important, regardless of what our sire says. It's only a weakness if you let it be one. Luca's eyes shift back and forth around the room before she speaks. That's true, but I didn't expect to hear it from you. Why not? I guess it was suggested to me that you're a favorite of hers. Who said that? She frowns. It's not important. I'm just glad you're your own person. It's a good thing to know. This world's too dangerous for us to stop asking questions. I've seen more than one kindred disappear even after following every order they were given. Speaking of which, do you think I should get armed? I couldn't travel back to Canada with a weapon. I had to borrow a gun from Key for the raid, but he took it back right afterward. I hate to owe anyone a favor, but it might be worth it if we have Primogen getting crucified in their havens. Absolutely, though you'd have a hard time getting one from the mortals. Gun control is a big deal around here, especially around Capitol Hill. So I've heard, Luca says, a bit different than down south in the States. I'll see what I can dig up. She folds her report paperwork and slips it into a discreet pouch at her waist. Oh my god, okay. I'm just gonna... Okay, there we go. Banned him. I didn't realize he would even come back. But that's that one guy who was like a pissy the other day. And I timed him now, but I guess I should have just banned him. He's banned now though. Alright. Where did I find it? Okay. Alright, I'll just start from the beginning again. I think I only went through like the first line anyway. So I've heard, Luca says, a bit different than down south in the States. I'll see what I can dig up. She folds her report paperwork and slips it into a discreet pouch at her waist. From the other end of the room, you see Key dismiss Henrik Lang, and walk in your direction. Luca curses. I suppose it's one of our turns to play nice with the sheriff. He's certainly being thorough, you say. I suppose I should be grateful, but it's still a pain in the ass. She pauses for a moment. I'm glad you took the time to talk with me, Briar. Kindred here aren't exactly friendly to strangers, and I've been away so long that I might as well be a new arrival to the city. It's no problem, you say. It's good we had the chance. I have something planned for later tonight after I get out of here. I could use some help if you don't have other plans. What do you need? We can talk about it once we're finished with the sheriff. If you're interested, that is. I'll meet you on the street outside the club. Sure. You know what? Sure, I'd love to help. I don't have any other plans, and I'd enjoy getting to know you better. So my logic is that Luca seems very nice, and she's probably got her own set of skills, and since we have the same sire, she's probably more inclined to help me. She might want to sabotage me, but she seems nice, so I think it's like a shared misery kind of thing going on here. Great, Luca says with a grin. I'll see you after. I think my number's up for now, though. Here he comes. Luca, he says as he approaches you. I'll just need a minute or two. He turns to you. Sorry to interrupt. It's okay, do what you need to do. Rest assured, he says. He looks like he's tired of the routine himself. We're almost done. Talk to you later, Briar, Luca says as she's led away. Noticing that you're finally alone, Alicia Gray sashays in your direction. The diva's eyes meet your own, and for a moment you're lost in her radiance. The spell, however, is rather diminished when she nearly trips over Lang's briefcase. She recovers with her usual grace, pushing her perfect hair out of her eyes with an elegant sweep of the wrist, while summarily ignoring the warlock's baleful glower as he snatches the case closer to his person. Clumsy of me, Alicia says with a melodious laugh that reminds you of a light wind brushing against chimes. You've been quite a social butterfly tonight, Briar, angling for a more prominent position. What do you need, Alicia? Not disposed to idle chatter? How unlike the rest of the court. She plays her fingers along the plunging neckline of her dress, and you do your best to ignore it. I wanted to invite you to my latest exhibit tomorrow evening. I know there's a distinct lack of notice on my part, but what is art without spontaneity? Blah. Spontaneity. Besides, I think we've all had our fill of dreary topics. Anarchs, petty squabbles, crucifixion, blah blah blah. Everyone who's anyone is going to be there. I'll show if I have the opportunity, but I can't make any promises. She's already drifting off to reel in another invitee. Don't be left out in the rain, Briar. Social capital is king. You hear Key call out for another interviewee from the side room. It looks like he's not quite done yet. There should be enough time for one last conversation. Okay, Bouchard, Corliss, Jordan, or Tremere? I don't think the Tremere wants to talk to me. I think Corliss will talk to me anyway, I feel. I don't think I will talk to Jordan because I feel like if Jordan knows anything, he will talk to me already. Well, I'll talk to the Tremere. I don't think he'll talk back to me though. He looks funny. Why is he literally wearing a robe? I mean, I know he's a Tremere and all. Not sure how I feel about that neckline bit unless you're literally looking at her neck. Vamps and VTM don't really get those urges. I think it's more about she was using presence maybe. Or not that, and also maybe not that you have the urge, but like maybe you just want to be polite and not look when she's obviously like trying too hard. That could be another thing as well. That's what I feel at least. Hold on, let me sip water. But this is the Tremere guy, Henrik Lang. You find Henrik Lang seated in a tall backed chair near the center. Oh wait, I forgot to say. Welcome, the mongoose, welcome. Alright. You find Henrik Lang seated in a tall backed chair near the center of the room, surveying his surroundings over the clear glass rim of a blood-filled champagne flute. His dead cheeks are flushed with the blush of life, although you're unsure why he'd expend the energy necessary to look mortal while surrounded by his peers. As he sees you approach, he takes down the hood of his robe and pulls its hem off the chair beside him. He motions for you to sit. Not wishing to appear rude, you follow his direction. Wait, he wants to talk to me? I thought you might have grown restless circling the room, Briar. Take a rest. Watching you hover makes me feel weary. Seen only from afar, you'd assume that the warlock had died in his late 50s, due in large part to his complexion and barren scalp. But up close you realize he's not actually bald at all. His hair is a fine misting of close-shorn blonde, and his intense blue eyes stare into your soul. I cannot be the only one of us to believe this is a complete waste of time, he says, gesturing toward the corner room where Key is conducting his interviews. We sit in here, sowing distrust amongst each other, oblivious as the anarchs nip at our heels, corralling us into ever tighter knots of paranoid conspiracy theorists. The enemy has announced himself, assaulted you and our sheriff personally, and yet here we sit, pointing fingers of blame. What makes you so sure that this was the Anarchs doing? Is Ward really powerful enough to take out someone like Vivian? Alone, Lan says, most likely not. But we already know that Ward isn't alone. Perhaps if we devoted the energy we're expending on this infighting to investigating the enemy, we'd have a better idea what we're facing. The other primogen of the court are preoccupied with blaming Corliss for the prince's disappearance, forcing her to make a public spectacle of her search for answers, even in unrelated matters. Make no mistake, they'll use any perceived negligence on her part as evidence of wrongdoing. So she orders the sheriff to take a full accounting. When you break the maneuvering down to its base parts, it's all dreadfully predictable. I don't blame Corliss or Key. It's the backbiting that it's blame. Our foes both expect and count on it. Okay. Alright. Assuming you are right, what can we do to get the council back on track? Distrust is a way of life in the ivory tower, Lan says. We're stubborn creatures like that. At this point, there's nothing for it but to wait patiently. You'll note that unlike the masked scab over there, I did not object to being told to remain seated. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the most intelligent one. This game is about optics. I said my piece at the beginning of the council and passed the query on. Eyes did not linger overly long, and my objection was heard. Yesterday evening, I was accused by the assassin, Mr. Salik, of covertly threatening him with violence. I didn't complain or beat my fists against the wall. I summoned no spells, made no return accusations. I simply asked for evidence, and there was none. Meanwhile, evidence of the Anarch's guilt is manifest in the blazing inferno you were almost destroyed in. I simply think that it is the logical place to focus our questions. What connection is there between the Anarch incident and Kashif's leak? You ask. You possess the ability to describe this. Oh, okay, yeah. Is my hunger back down? My hunger is back down considering I just fed, so I'm just use aspects again, why not? Connections between them and that I am currently aware of. Very few, although the vizier does seem surprisingly socially agile, seducing Ophelia, a primogen that took some know-how. I've been wondering if his blood sorcery is involved somehow. With your enhanced senses in play, you're able to tell that Lang believes what he's saying, even detect a hint of jealousy buried deep beneath layers of loathing. But there's something else too, a deception, tangentially related, a shiftiness in his aura and the way he speaks. I mean, if he really is receiving death threats like he claims, it makes sense that he seek out allies. Lang shrugs, shifting the weight of his heavy robes. If he has been receiving threats, they have not come from myself, as much as Kashif wishes to implicate the Tremere. I find his persistent badgering tiresome. If only I were able to extricate myself from the situation entirely. Even without your supernatural perception, you'd be able to tell that Lang is frustrated, but you notice subconscious micro-twitches running through his body as he talks. Is he afraid? What do you mean? Can't you just walk away and leave him alone? Lang shakes his head. My associate, Trevor Hadid, is it Hyde? Wait, Trevor Hyde? Hyde? Trevor Hyde. Arrived in recent nights, sent by the Prince of Quebec City. She wishes for our clan to re-establish a presence here in Ottawa. Okay. What does that have to do with Kashif? Is something stopping them from... Is something stopping them from coming back? Thank you for the hearts, by the way. Unfortunately, the issue which resulted in most of us leaving Ottawa remains unresolved. Lang casts a side-eye glance at Kashif. The Banu Hakim is relating some amusing tale to a small group of kindred. Maybe there's something to Lang's concerns after all. It's impossible to know. So you're stuck in the middle, you say. If you want the other members of your clan to return, you need to make Kashif disappear. And he's grown happy with Ophelia. I can see why it would be difficult to convince him to leave when he's found bombs in the city. Assuming his emotions are genuine, I'd be inclined to agree, but I find it equally likely that he's courting perception as much as emotional attachment. If he is attached to a powerful kindred in Ottawa, his chances of being forcibly removed are significantly decreased. You know, Prince Arundel wouldn't remove him so soon after welcoming him here. People change, politics change. Lang swirls the blood in his glass before finishing it in a single, prolonged gulp. Ah, he proclaims, a simply delicious flavor. I must ask our host where she procures her vintage. His aura is dark orange and frazzled at the edges like static. You'd never have noticed it without your abilities, but you're sure now that he's afraid of something beneath his cool exterior. The conversation takes a turn away from the political for several minutes as Lang expounds at length about the qualities of his local research facility and his inquiry into various relics and esoterica. Neither area is something you have great deal experience in, but you use your time with him to whatever advantage you can. Ally or impress him? I'll just impress him. I try to follow his conversation and respond in a way that impresses him. Over the course of the conversation, Langs gives you more than a few critical looks as you smile and nod along with his trade theories. About ally him, it's too late! It's too late! About various supernatural phenomena and the nature of blood sorcery. In the end, he appears pleased that you took the time to listen to him speak, but it's clear that he knows you weren't able to pass much of his logic and jargon. Eventually, Lang rises from his seat and excuses himself. I beg your pardon, Briar. I have someone I must speak with before we go, but it's been an illuminating conversation. Please give my regards to your sire. There it is again, the minute twitching. To your enhanced senses, his fingers rubbing compulsively together beneath the draped arms of his luxurious robe might as well be a confession. But confession to what misdeed? Unfortunately, there's no way to be sure. He emerges from his interview room clutching a notepad and pen. He does little to hide his grim expression when he informs the council that they can leave and be about their business. Thank you for your time and patience, he says. I may need to contact some of you for follow-up questions, but for now, you're free to go. Free to go, you hear 𝒂𝒎𝒄 growl, as if he has the right to stop us. You take a cramped elevator cheek to jowl with other kindred, each eager to leave as quickly as possible and not willing to wait a second longer to be quit of Elysium and the prolonged council. A large analog clock on the wall above the ground floor exit shows that it's 1:37 in the morning. You exit Elysium out into the cold and surprisingly crowded streets. The air tingles against your nose, that undefinable smell that heralds the coming of snow. Not long after your embrace, the prestigious club used for Elysium had burned to the ground during a raid of attacking canines from Montreal. The club had since been relocated to the 15th floor of a massive plate glass building on Bank Street, a hive of activity for kindred and kind alike. Hey, Briar, 𝒂𝒎💄 calls you. She's leaning back beside the door, watching the others as they leave. I've got to say, that whole thing may have been worth it just to see 𝒂𝒎💄 so pissed off. I'll admit it's a little bit funny. Right, she cuts her laugh short as the old sewer rat himself barges through the door and out onto the street, completely swathed in the bulkiest winter coat he can find. All you can see of him is the glint of his eyes before he stalks off, presumably to the nearest sewer grating. So, you say, what was it that you had planned for tonight? Right, 𝒂𝒎💄 says. Walk with me over to the corner. You follow her away from the door as several other kindred make their way out. She doesn't want to be heard. That's not the best sign. You know how I told you about the church I visited? You nod. Well, I didn't tell you the whole story. I thought I was alone, but the priest overheard my prayers. It was stupid. I should have paid more attention to my surroundings, but I wasn't exactly in a stable frame of mind. What with breaking into a church to ask Christ if it was a mortal sin for a vampire to commit suicide. I don't want to be rude and interrupt. He looks distinctly uncomfortable. No doubt this is a difficult story for her to tell. It has the ring of something long repressed. In fact, you may be the very first kindred she's spoken to about it. She lapses into an uncomfortable silence. Not sure what else to do, you decide to give her a gentle verbal nudge. So what happened? She's scratching at the back of her neck, unconsciously now. We can keep this between ourselves. He doesn't wait for a response. Of course. So the priest, Father 𝒂𝒐, he wanted to take my confession, but I couldn't possibly do that with the state I was in. But he didn't just dismiss me. He offered to help, be a spiritual guide. I'd never had anyone in the church take such interest in me before, even when I was mortal. So he took him up on it. It's all you can do to keep from quirking an eyebrow. I did? Yeah, and it went really, really well. A smile goes its way over her face at the remembrance, and you can tell she's being genuine. Somehow, even without knowing what I really am, he helped me understand myself. He strengthened the bond I had with Christ and pulled me back from the edge of the abyss. There was no judgment or prying questions, just patience and understanding. He saved me. A trio of pedestrians nearly collides with you and you step back away from the road. They're laughing and they reek of alcohol. I never did understand the appeal of getting drunk, Luca says as she watches them go. Though I suppose drinking for pleasure is not all that different than what we do. Aside from the fact that we need to drink blood to survive. It's pleasurable enough. She's stalling. Okay. I never liked drinking when I was mortal either. Funny how things change, eh? Luca says. From sober to addict in one night. But at least blood can pass for red wine if you don't look too close. She sniffs. It's been years since I've seen Father 𝑑'Amico. I've been out of the country, sent here and there dealing with Corliss's accounts and business interests. Seeing him again was one of the things I looked forward to when I was thinking of home. She pauses for a moment. Now he's gone. No one I used to talk to in the parish knows where he went or if he's even still alive. He just went missing one day, and within a week he was replaced. She snaps her fingers. Just like that. I sympathize, you say. I'm just not sure how I'd be of any help. I've been watching the church, Luca says. I didn't want to risk approaching the new priest. I don't need to test my luck, but the place still called to me. Thing is, I noticed something weird. People coming and going at all hours of the night, which would be strange just by itself. But they're careful when they leave, like they've got something to hide. And I've seen them load strange boxes into their cars. I think something's bad's happening here, Briar. I want to sneak in tonight and see if I can catch them in the act. Catch them in the act. What does she mean by that? Hello, Dory Anime. Welcome. Thank you for hearts. Sorry, I can't really reply while I'm reading until I reach the end of the page. I'm gonna take a sip of water first. I think do you think something supernatural is involved? I haven't seen any evidence of it, no, Luca says. But at this point, nothing would surprise me. Those boxes they were carrying, it could be anything. Drugs, guns, who knows? I know it sounds paranoid, but you should have seen them skulking around in the shadows at 3 or 4 in the morning. I can't let them treat the church like that. I need to get closer and find out what's really happening. I was going to hire someone for backup, but a trusted kindred is worth 10 mercenaries. You'll help? I'd owe you a favor. Having a kindred owe you a favor can be quite useful indeed, but is it worth getting really involved? Brought here by recommendations. What's up? Oh, new people! Okay, then let me pause for a sec and kind of explain what's going on. So we are playing, well, not really playing, we're reading. So this is like a reading stream because we're just reading basically. It's like a text-based adventure. This is, I think we're like probably near the end of chapter 4, I assume, because when we started the stream an hour ago, it was the beginning of chapter 4. But I think there are like 10s, so we're like almost halfway through the game. But basically this is about Vampire the Masquerade, which if you know, you might know from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is like very popular, but really old game about vampires. So right now we're just doing, there's like a whodunit thing going on where somebody attacks someone powerful and we don't know who it is. And meanwhile, I'm talking to, I guess, my vampire sister, if that makes sense, because both of us were made by the same sire, the same person who made the vampires. First time I'm hearing about Vampire Masquerade sounds interesting. Okay, so I guess I gotta go further back. Vampire the Masquerade is literally just like, it's vampire role-playing game thing, and then the idea of a masquerade is that it's like a hidden society of vampires. So the idea is that vampires are controlling everything, and that kind of like the Illuminati type style, and that humans don't know that vampires are around. and then we have to keep it that way. That's why it's called Vampire the Masquerade. And okay, so going back to this, so our vampire sister is telling us that there is this church that she used to go to, and it seems like it might have organized crime here right now, and she's kind of asking for our help. So I think I'm gonna I'm gonna help her, but I'm gonna say like we have to be very careful about helping her. So like, yes, I'll help you. Thank you for the explanation, I'm intrigued. Okay, great. And also, since I'm reading, I won't be able to reply until like the end of every page. So that's a thing. Alright, I'll continue now. Okay, yes, I'll help you, but I think we should tread very carefully. No one can know we were there. Yes, Luca says. I knew I could count on you. So when are we doing this, you ask? We should head over now, so we can get in position to watch. If they come by at the same time they did the last night I saw them, they'll be pulling up with their cargo a bit before 3. We're headed to St. Anthony of Padua. Know the place? You've never been inside, but you're familiar with the building, on the corner of Gladstone and Booth? That's the one. Not what you were expecting. It's a smaller church, you say. What made you choose to go there when you were having your troubles? Luca shakes her head. I don't know. It just felt right, you know? There's not always a logical reason for these things. She's not wrong. You'd given up any absolute belief in the power of logic the night you were reborn as a blood-drinking undead kindred. In a world of the supernatural, who's to say that Luca's Catholic ties hadn't pulled her toward the church? Stranger things have happened. We should go, she says. If we missed him, we'll have to try again another night. And thanks for agreeing to this. It means a lot to me. No problem, you say. A cold wind whips down the street and suddenly you're chilled to the bone. Okay, next chapter! Oh, okay, thank you, Phantom Reaper. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I need to stay hydrated because this is a reading stream. And we're going to go probably for another 2 hours. And so, I gotta drink lots of water and then probably take some toilet breaks. Okay, Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Exhibition. St. Anthony of Padua is a thin wedge of a building. Its light brown brick facade overseeing the intersection between Gladstone Avenue and Booth Street. A wide set of steps leads up to the entrance, separated off into 3 even rows by a set of black metal railings. To their right, a white van is parked in the cramped driveway of a delivery bay. Its engine is off and the driver is nowhere to be seen. You search for signs of movement, but the only mortals anywhere near the church are 2 very large men, seated in metal chairs across the street as they smoke cigarettes in the small Piazza Dante Park. They don't seem to be looking at you. That's one of the vans I saw the other night, Luca whispers. There are 2 more just like it that come later, unmarked. You're sure that this isn't some normal operation, you ask. It looks like a standard van. Maybe they just get their deliveries at night? Luca shakes her head. I can't tell you how I know, I just do. And if I'm wrong, we can laugh about it another night and I'll still owe you a favor. That's fair, right? Okay, but there aren't many places to hide around here, you say. How are we supposed to watch them without looking suspicious? We just have to time it right, Luca says. Just keep walking past like we have every reason to be here. Nothing unusual, just a late evening stroll. The 2 men across the street crane their necks to watch you as you walk past, but quickly return to their muttered conversation when they realize you're hanging around. Luca alters her course immediately, and you follow her into the shadows of the building beside the church. You pause for a moment, watching for any sign that you've been spotted. Neither of the men move, and no one raises a shout of alarm. Follow me, Luca whispers as she makes her way carefully toward the delivery bay. If it had been daytime, the 2 of you would look ludicrous, but at night, the road lamps cast cones of light along the street, leaving the building front significantly darker by comparison. It's not perfect shadow, but it's workable for what you need. Tell me that doesn't look suspicious to you, Lucas whispers once you've gotten a proper survey of the place. The two men who had been waiting in the park have returned to the van. They're unloading white coolers from the back seat and bringing them one by one into the building through a side door in the shadowy loading bay. You're fairly well obscured behind several shrubs, and so far no one has turned an eye in your direction. After several trips, the men run out of cargo. Instead of bringing more coolers in, they start lugging out heavy-looking oblong crates, taking them from the church and shoving them into the back of the van one at a time. They almost look like coffins, Luca exclaims. I wasn't close enough to see last time. I thought it was weapons or maybe drugs. Careful, you whisper. Don't raise your voice. Sorry, You shake your head. We don't know for sure. As if the universe itself wants to prove you wrong, the sound of a scuffle breaks out from inside the church, punctuated by a brief cry for help, quickly silenced. We have to do something, Briar, Luca says. We have to do something now. Are they not able to turn into bats this weekend? Okay, so the idea of Vampire the Masquerade, it wouldn't seem suspicious at night to see bats. Yeah. But the idea is that they can't turn into bats because like Vampire the Masquerade, they basically have like different clans, so different types of vampires basically. And unfortunately, the type of vampire we both are basically like Edward Twilight vampires. We don't sparkle in the sun. All vampires will die in the sunlight in this universe. But basically we can run fast and get a lot of people on our side, so we can't turn into bats. I think some other types of vampires can turn into bats, so maybe if we were that clan, then we might have that option, but because it's a text-based game. But for now, for this one, we're just kind of sneaking around. We're doing things covertly. Alright. I don't think I can take... Okay, I think we should work out... We should try and take them out together because I'm not good at fighting. And I don't think she is either. So, we should take them out together quickly and then move into the church. Why not, Luca says. We'll get it done faster together than if we split up. No need for anything flashy. We don't want to be punching holes through them or any of the usual stuff. No deaths and no gunfire. Not right out in the open. Just take them down quick. Taking them out to it sounds like a safer option. Yeah, that's true. Wait, let me actually look at my stats. Okay, so I do have high charisma and manipulation. So I think I'll just lie. I'll try and lie and like intimidate them to leave. So like I try to convince them to take the box and leave. They don't want the kind of trouble I'm bringing. I have a feeling that this might be a hard sell though. All I need from you is to load up that box and leave, you say, channeling your supernatural charm and throwing in just a hint of intimidation for spice. You've got your cargo. There's no reason for you to stay, is there? One of the men looks to the other, his eyes twitching, and he looks nervous as hell. You can almost smell his distress. You said this job would be quick and easy, man. Who cares what happens after we're gone? Why bother? Idiot, his companion grunts. You think we're gonna keep getting good paying jobs if we turn our backs on every weakling who tries to intimidate us? He turns to you. Give me one good reason to go without kicking your ass first. Huh. Because I just called the police, and if you don't get her out of here in the next few minutes, they're going to have a nice close look at the contents of the crates you're hauling. Why the hecking shit would you do that? The man asked, incredulous. What business is it of yours anyway? You just fudging with me? Sorry. Is that it? He starts toward you. Oh no, the exact opposite effect you were hoping for. Damn it, Frank, the other man whines. Let's just go. Who gives a shit what this punk wants? If the cops catch us with this... God fudging damn it, Frank says as he stares hatefully at you. I'm gonna remember your face, punk. Don't think I won't. He turns his back and finishes loading the crate before getting into the van behind the wheel. No time to dwell on how lucky that turned out. Come on, Briar, Luca says. We gotta get in there because something else happens. Threatening to call the police sounds like a bad idea. Yeah, it's a bad idea. Well, it worked out. Yeah, it was quite lucky. It's the strangest thing, Luca says. She's creeping through a dimly lit hallway ahead of you. She's moving slowly, as if sensing some unseen danger. It's been 100 times, and it always felt warm and welcoming. Now, she traces her fingers along the white painted walls. All I feel is rot, decay. I think I can smell blood, you say, sniffing the musty air. Yeah, Luca says as she slowly turns the knob of a small side door. We're headed around the side of the nave. Hopefully that's enough to hide us. Be ready for anything. What the heck? Who are you? He's like a priest man. But he looks... Oh wait, he has the Bible upside down. The cross is upside down. That's bad. He's evil. Okay. 3 parishioners kneel before an altar veiled by a delicate black fabric bearing the symbol of a stylized crown. Stylized. Oh my god, it is the... I know, I think this is the La Sombra, which is a vampire clan who can manipulate the shadows. And they're usually tied to churches as well. You could swear you've seen it before, but can't quite place it. You see no sign of whoever had cried out, and the praying mortals don't seem to have noticed or been bothered by it enough to be moved from their supplications. Luca hisses when she sees the banner, but says nothing, only watches intently as a tall, thin man in priest's robes approaches the altar. His vestments have been dyed a bright royal purple, emblazoned with dazzlingly intricate white embroidery. He greets his flock with a predatory smile, eyes flashing in the candlelight with silent yearning. Father Moretti, the woman in the center of the trio says as she lowers her head even further, as though she dare not gaze into the priest's eyes. Will you bless us tonight? The request is chased by an eerie moaning from the other 2 kneeling parishioners. Your senses catches fire with a bestial desire. The smell of blood radiates from Moretti in invisible waves, leaving you momentarily stunned. You're starting to get a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Wait. Satanic priest. Yeah, I think it's a vampire. It usually has the opposite effect, since if you call the police, they probably want to deal with you. Oh yeah, that's true. But maybe it's not worth risk getting caught. Yeah, that was what I thought would happen, which technically it did happen. So that was very lucky, even though they did want to beat me up. You start to creep forward to get a better look, but Luca puts a warning hand on your shoulder. We have to be sure, she whispers. You work in Corliss's office. Have you seen any reports of visiting kindred matching this description? You shake your head. No, and like you said earlier, he's been here for some time now, taking over for the priest you were close with. Luca pulls a smartphone from her pocket. She's not supposed to have one, of course, but you're not entirely surprised. Technically, it's only internet communications that Arundel sought to avoid with his ban. I knew they were invading. She sees near silently through clenched teeth. I just didn't know they were already entrenched. She starts filming just as Father Moretti sinks his teeth into the mortal woman's neck and drinks in slow, delicate sips. He pulls back, red-stained lips stretched thin in the same chilling smile. Blessed are you, my child. He hands her a Eucharist wafer, and she clutches a small piece of bread with holy reverence. Her hands tremble. Only when she brings the offering to her lips do you notice the blood soaked into the dry crust. The 3 of you are my heralds, Moretti says. Go forth and recruit more children for the flock. Together, we will grow strong again. That's it, Luca whispers as he puts her phone away. I've seen enough. I know you're there, Moretti says. His eyes are closed, and yet you can feel his gaze upon you from the shadows lurking in every corner. Suddenly, the room feels a whole lot darker, more constricting. There's no hiding from the eyes of God, he says. Not in this holy place. Luca lunges forward with a cry of fury, and the 3 parishioners turn as one to guard their regent. You sleep? Alright. Thank you for coming, zebra man. Good night. If they outnumber you, it'd probably be quick and easy unless another round. I mean, to be fair, there were 2 of them, so if anything went wrong, I guess we could have fought them. Alright, let's see here. It's empowered by shadows. I don't know if turning the lights on will help. You know what? I think... Should I? Okay, so there's 3 options. Looking at the options, all of them are risky. One is based on assumption. Yeah. The first one is like, oh, we turn on the lights. But I don't remember if turning on the lights will be good. My character doesn't seem good at fighting. That is true. My character is not good at fighting. Literally 0 strength, 0 stamina, and 1 dexterity. But we could use vampire powers, I guess. Let me look at my disciplines. Nope, that's not my disciplines. That's overall disciplines. How do I guess return to stat screen? It's probably here somewhere. I'm growing hungry. Where are my disciplines? Why doesn't it show? Well, I do have disciplines. I do have, like, powers that I can use. So maybe I can do that. It wasn't stated that he gains power from the Church of Shadows. I argue the first since we can't brute force it. Okay. Alright. I'll go with what Mark is suggesting, because I think Mark might know, because I missed out Mark's, like, suggestion earlier. So we'll try for Mark's suggestion. Alright. So we're gonna try and turn on the lights. It's the smart solution, at least that's what you think to yourself, as you rush away from the battle to a set of light switches at the other end of the nave. Behind you, you can hear the sound of 𝑦𝒂𝒎 plowing through the parishioners in her attempt to wring Moretti's neck. Seconds later, you reach the switches and push them up, 2 with each hand. They click into place, but the lights are unresponsive. He's turned off the power. Laughter echoes through the shadows around you as they grow increasingly oppressive. I'm always 1 step ahead. The priest mocks you, seemingly from everywhere at once. It's my nature, after all. You feel cold, desperately cold, as you search for a way to restore power. Far to the back of the nave, you catch a glimpse of something that looks very likely to be a breaker box. There's no way Moretti has permanently disabled the lights in the church. He must maintain appearances during normal Sunday services, after all, so there should be a way to turn them back on. But is the detour worth the risk? Can 𝑦𝒂𝒎 survive from fighting one-on-one while you run around the church, hoping to find the right panel? Okay, so he admits that light does weaken him. I think we can still try, because if we try and help, I don't think we'll be that good of a help. So let's try and find it. The laughter stops echoing through the shadows as you change course and run toward the rear wall of the nave. When you're halfway to the breaker box, a voice bellows out from directly in front of you. If you take 1 step closer, I'll slice your friend's head from her shoulders. He's desperate. You can hear it in his voice. 𝑦𝒂𝒎 will have to wait for just a moment. Besides, you can still hear her dishing out punishment from the vicinity of the altar. You've come too far to change your mind. Seconds later, you reach the panel and rip it wide open, revealing just over a dozen black switches, most in the off position. Here goes nothing. You jam your hand along the left side and pull all the trip switches to the right. As you do, the lights all snap on above you at once, and Father Moretti shrieks with frustration. I'll destroy both of you. This isn't over. How good is 𝑦𝒂𝒎 at fighting? We don't really know. I think, well, she did come from, like, her backstory is that she's been spending most of her time in the US, so maybe she has to fight a lot. Because right now we're in Canada, where, like, I guess it also depends on which city in the US she is in. But yeah. Alright. By the time you reach the altar, the fight has all but ended. The 3 parishioners are bleeding on the floor in a tumbled disarray, and 𝑦𝒂𝒎 is locked in combat with Moretti. The priest's vestments has been torn from his shoulders and are tangled with his feet. You duck down and pull the end of it, as Luca kicks him in the chest, knocking him backward. You pull the cloth tight as he falls, tripping him up and making a smooth landing impossible. When he hits the floor, Luca leaps atop him, straddling his chest as she rains down terrible blows, beating his face into a bloody pulp. "What did you do to Father 𝒂𝒂𝒂?" she snarls. Her hands curl up into fists as they grip the priest's red-stained collar. "Where is he?" "What do you think is going to happen here, child?" Father Moretti says with a chuckle through split lips. Several of his teeth have been knocked out, rendering his expression a true grotesquerie. "You believe that I'll relent, and you'll save the church like a conquering hero? No, this isn't over until I say it is." "Screw you," Luca grunts, bringing her fist down on his nose, breaking it with a heavy crunch of knuckles and cartilage. "It's over and you know it. Just tell me where Father 𝒂𝒂𝒂 is." Moretti looks like he's going to laugh again, but his expression suddenly goes cold. "You're serious?" He pauses in thought. "Then you must be little Luca. The old man told me a lot about you before he died. How he saved you, hauled you back from the brink of oblivion. I think he regretted his choice of words when the darkness swallowed him up." "Where is he?" Luca screams. She grips the side of Moretti's head and jams her thumbs into his eye sockets with a sickening squelch. "What did you do to him?" "You know exactly what I did to him," he croaks. "He's dead, soul torn from his body and tormented on the other side of the veil for eternity. Your disciplines allow you a closer look of the priest's aura. You watch for any tells that he's lying, but there are none. You're sure Luca knows the same, but she's determined not to give up. You've never seen Luca so enraged. To hell with the traditions. To hell with all of it. This creature is no true vampire. I don't have to ask permission to end him. He needs to be destroyed." Look, okay. Because I'm not sure if she will. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm also leaning towards the middle option, because if we kill somebody without permission, we're gonna get killed ourselves. So if she kills somebody, then she's gonna get killed. If I kill somebody, I'm gonna get killed. That's just the rules of the polite vampire society that we are in. So we're supposed to get permission. So we can just so my idea here is to, it says we're bringing the body to a secure location, but maybe we just paralyze him, which is the second option, and then maybe we bring him to the officials. She kills him and she stakes him. No, if you stake a vampire in this universe, you paralyze them. So we'll paralyze him so he can't move at all, and then we bring him to the officials, maybe the authorities. Maybe it doesn't kill. Yeah, it doesn't kill. So I will just stake him, and I'll have my butler bring him to a secure location. You gotta go to work as word calls. Alright, thank you for coming, Phantom Reaper. He's unauthorized anyway, follow the rules. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I'm gonna do the second one, because I think, because he's not here with permission, so if we bring him to people, they'll be like, hey, good job. Anyway. Alright. Luca hesitates before she takes the makeshift stake from you. I want vengeance, she says, her hands clenching around the wood until you can hear knuckles popping. Father 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 spoke about me right before the end. He must have thought that he could save Moretti like he saved me. She kicks the false priest in the ribs. Maybe there's no saving us. Maybe I was wrong, and God has abandoned me. It's a message, Moretti says, croaking. Eyeless, you're damned, Luca. Damned forever. You may as well give in now. Succumb to the dark's embrace. You'll find peace there. He reaches his arm out, trembling slightly with the effort. Take my hand, and I'll show you. I'll take the pain away. To hell with you, Luca snarls. She slaps the priest's hand away and kicks him onto his back, raising the stake into the air. This is for Father 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂. She slams it down through Moretti's chest. You can hear his ribcage snapping as his dead flesh parts, making way for the stake to pierce his heart. Finally, the false priest goes blessedly silent, his venomous tongue silenced for however long the stake transfixes his cold, dead heart. You're thinking of a way to contact Jared so he can transport the body, but Luca is already dialing a number off her phone. Hey, get me Key. A pause. I need you to keep the cops from St. Anthony of Padua. Tell them it's a federal matter if you have to. It's important. Another pause. I also need to pick up. Can't say. You understand when you get here. She gives you a nod. Thanks, Key. She hangs up and looks to you. He's not happy, but he'll forgive me when he sees what we caught. Don't worry, he doesn't even know you were here. This is all on me, okay? She walks with you toward the rear exit of the building. I really appreciate you coming out with me. If you hadn't been here, I don't know what would have happened. I'm not sure I would have worn out on my own. Okay, so I'm just gonna say Key. I'm just gonna explain that Key is basically the vampire police officer of the region. I'm just gonna say that. I think that's a good explanation what Key is. Alright, let's see. Don't forget you owe me a favor. I think I'm gonna stay on her good side actually. I'm just say that it's no problem. But I know she knows that I owe her because we agreed on it in the first one. Yeah, I feel like the first or third. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the first one. Luca flashes you a smile. Good, I'm glad, she says. She leads you out onto the street. No crowds have gathered, and luckily you don't see any observers. It's a good thing neither of you discharged a firearm during the fight. Ottawa tends to frown on that kind of thing lately. Time for me to go deal with the fallout, she says. He is going to know the details sooner than later. I might as well meet with him in person. Can I drive you anywhere? No, I'm okay, you say. Thanks for the offer, though. You need a little time to clear your head, and you're not all that far from the downtown core. A little walking isn't gonna kill you. You're already dead. Okay, Luca says as she gets into her car. I'll see you around. I'm new here, don't know her that well. I don't know. Like, I also don't really know her either. I think I only interacted with her like one other time, or like two other times, in this, like, story. You arrive home less than an hour before sunup, mind reeling with the night's events. For so long, you felt like your unlife's been moving at a glacial pace, but now you're beginning to feel like a noose rests around your neck, and each night is growing tighter. You hadn't expected your evening out with Luca to devolve quite so quickly, and yet there had been a certain edge of excitement to it, you have to admit. What was Father Moretti's real story? He must have fled from the Montreal Sabbat enclave after the city's kindred were flushed out and destroyed. But how did he manage to escape, and how did he expect to survive in the seat of the Camarill's power in Canada? Good morning, ma'am, Jared greets you. I imagine you have a productive evening. Okay, so I'm gonna explain that the Sabbat, simple explanation, evil vampires. That's it. Yeah, I got a butler called Gerard. The game gave me a butler called Gerard. Okay, let's see. I imagine you had a productive evening. There have been some attacks against kindred in the city. I need you to be on alert for any signs of trouble. The ghoul raises his eyebrows. Attacks, you say? The bad old days of raids from Montreal again? You shake your head. We don't know yet. Just be on guard for anything suspicious. If you feel like you need to hire some trusted muscle to watch the areas outside the front entrance, I'll leave that to your discretion. Gerard scribbles down a note in the small pad he always keeps on his person. The fact that you're bringing it up to me is concerning enough, ma'am. Consider it done. Thank you, Gerard. No problem at all. Before you retire for today, I have a pertinent item for your attention. It will be only for a moment. You sink into a plush chair beside Gerard's desk as he flips through the notebook. Hopefully, it's not something that requires immediate action. In a word of feast or famine, this isn't the time of feasting you've grown accustomed to. Let's see. So, finding it exciting, chaos is a chance for change, disorder is alarming, protect the sire. No, I don't want to protect the sire. Turmoil in the court could be useful. There needs to be an end in disorder. There might be a better time in my life to you know, I think maybe the first, maybe either the first or the third one for me. Because, like, I don't want to, like, outright replace the sire. You know what, I'll just say turmoil in the court could be useful, allowing me to move upward through cunning without putting myself at risk. Gerard nods to himself and looks up from the notebook. It didn't take much asking around to find out more about Robert Ward for you. Surprisingly enough, it's not a lack of information that's the problem. It's the preponderance of it. Almost everyone I spoke to had a story or they'd heard one. Usually, it's like pulling teeth to find out information about kindred, so the excursion was rather refreshing. That is, until I started to get conflicting reports. Conflicting, you ask? It's to be expected, I suppose. How much is conflicting? Gerard grimaces. Over a third of it. It seems our friend Ward left an impression wherever he went. Big personality. Not surprising, you say. You remember the man's face leering up at you as his hand tightened around your neck. Some meetings are hard to forget. You gonna go hit the hay? Alright. Thank you for coming, Ethan. See you next time. Maybe, possibly, sometime. I don't know. But thank you for coming. Alright. Let's see. How is it? I'll trust your judgment, Gerard. What do you think is worth knowing? For us, our butler does have like very good eye for detail. So that's why I'm trusting his judgment here. Gerard sits down behind his desk and flips several pages through his notebook. As a quick aside, do be aware that I'm destroying these notes before I retire this afternoon. There'll be no record of our inquiry. No reason to leave physical evidence behind. Here's what I've pieced together about his history. Gerard continues. Ward was embraced in the late 1800s in England. None of my contacts are aware of any surviving records that indicate who his sire was or why he was embraced. He came to Canada shortly thereafter, with some clanmates and settled in Berlin, now known as Kitchener, Ontario. The 𝒂𝒎 weren't welcome in the capital then, but when Prince Arundel took praxis and welcomed the rabble, Ward arrived almost immediately. Corliss told me about some of that, you say. It's one of Arundel's only decisions that she spoke out against publicly. That was one of the most referenced items on my list, Gerard says, skipping down a few lines with his finger. Ward and Arundel grew close enough to cause friction with Corliss. Shortly thereafter, the 𝒂𝒎 largely split with the Camarilla, though my contacts couldn't tell me why. He arcs an eyebrow in an unspoken question. You shake your head. Some kindred matters are not for servants, no matter how loyal. After the split, Ward chose ideology over friendship and left to join the Anarchs. There was no word from him until a few nights ago. He closes the notebook. Given the recent unrest, I was thinking I may be able to assist you in more than an information-gathering capacity, arranging for haven defenses, procuring offensive equipment, whatever I can to do to assist. Incendiary rounds or increased security? I think money is fine. We can always live on the streets, doesn't matter. I know we're Toreador and all, we like to live in a good place, but we still are vampire. It's either security or fire rounds. I do have a gun, but I don't think I'm good at shooting the gun. So I think we'll just increase security. I think overall increase security. Beef up the crib, yeah. That can be arranged, ma'am. Now, if I may be so bold, you should probably sleep. It's nearly sunup. Gerard is right, and you can feel it. As you were talking, you began to feel a great weight on your shoulders. You may be shielded from the sun inside your haven, but daytime brings a wariness to even the most powerful vampires. You dismiss your servant and slink to bed. Darkness washes over you almost immediately as you recline and slip into sweet oblivion. You're swimming through the ether, chasing glimmering motes in an endless sea of black. You catch a brief vision of a propagandist in the glacial reflection, a momentary glimpse of a past left behind forever. You push the memory back into your subconscious where it belongs, better to harvest from more profitable memories and draw strength that will aid you in the coming nights. while your first year of training under Corliss's watchful eye was almost unbearably cruel. Your skill and survival impressed your sire to the extent that she allowed you more time to pursue your own interests and learn mostly on your own. Many of those early lessons have been forgotten in the years of relative leisure the ivory tower afforded you, but the tumultuous events of recent nights have brought your training back into sharper focus. Okay, so we get to increase our stats here. Let me drink water. Oh gosh. Should we increase? We're pretty good on social. We could increase mental or physical. You think it would be good to increase a physical stat? Maybe not physical, but like not strength or stamina. I think strength or stamina is just like dumb. Not that dumb, but like our character thinks it's dumb. Like it's probably like our character is like a weakling. So I think what we can do is like increase this one, like dexterity and resolve. How's our resolve actually? Our resolve is only 1 point. Dexterity is only 1 point. So maybe we can like increase the dexterity and resolve. Unless we really want to increase the social skills even further and manipulate people even further, which is also possible. So let's see. Dex resolve. What about dex resolve? Yeah, I'm thinking dex resolve. So, because we only have 1 point in dexterity and 1 point in resolve, so I think I'm gonna do that. Let me actually look at my reputation real quick. Okay, so we're very good reputation with Corliss and Luca and Gerard and Key, which makes sense. And Ward a little bit, which makes sense. How do I go back to the game? Oh yeah, go back to the game. Okay, I think I'll increase dexterity resolve because we only have 1 point in it. Images of rooftop excursions pass you like a highlight reel from a favorite film. You saw all there was to see, and as new buildings were raised, you explored them too, dashing nimbly and avoiding detection. Of course, you made certain to avoid using any supernatural abilities flagrantly out in the open, but a little daredevil parkour isn't out of the mortal realm of possibility. The moon rises as you slumber. A new night dawns. Streetlights bathe shop fronts in bright pools, while the occasional passing car barrels through runoff from recently melted snow, dashing it onto the closest part of the sidewalk. You move inward, toward the shops. Drivers tend to speed more in the early morning hours when there's less traffic on the road. They'll get slower and the traffic busier when the sun threatens to rise and the workday begins. The exhibition hall isn't far from your haven, and you believe the walk will do you good, give you time to clear your head. Unfortunately, you barely had time to reflect on recent happenings when a man in a heavy coat moves to pass you on the left, and you feel something poking you in the ribs. Turn right at the next crossing, he grunts. You look down. He's got something in his right hand, held underneath his coat and pointed at you. Of all the times to leave your weapon at home, it's been years since you carried it regularly, at least until the blood hunt. You have to remedy that, although you have no idea where you had a handgun in a fitted suit. You're no easy meat though, no vampire is. Your assailant's face is vaguely familiar, and it takes a moment to replace it before you recognize the pharaoh that Key captured during your raid. You've heard that his adopted name is Halberd. Look, you say, you might not know this, but I helped you the other night. What? I know, the gangrel says through clenched teeth. Not something we should talk about out in the open. Had to keep your attention in case you decided to rabbit. Cammies don't react well to me. Hello, Brandway, welcome. Sorry, I gotta finish reading before I can respond. Okay, let's see. Maybe if you act a little more okay, you know what? I can't imagine why. Oh! Hisako! Hisako is here! You finally finished showering. Okay, you lurky. Okay, thank you. No worries, it's fine. Thank you for coming, Hisako. Nice to see that you're around. Alright, can't imagine why. 𝒂💏 pulls his weapon away from your side, but you can still see his fist nervously shaking beneath his coat. Don't get any ideas, he says. You have no idea what the Pharaoh's motivations might be. Is he bringing you to ward? Or maybe he just wants to lure you into a dark alley to dispatch you. Either way, you'll need to make a decision. I'm gonna just convince him to tell me who sent him and why. Look, you say, trying to keep things simple for the wide-eyed gangrel. We're in public, and we don't need to make a scene, okay? Why don't you put down the gun and tell me where we're going? I know some anarchs might not care as much about keeping up the masquerade, but we Camarilla do. Just tell me where we're going and I'll come along peacefully. Guess it doesn't matter, 𝒂💏grunts. Boss wants to see you, but I got no idea why. That's some weird hard-on for you, but not like in a sex way. You're not quite sure how to respond to that. Boss? You mean Ward? Who else would I be talking about? The Pharaoh prods you with the gun again. You won't get hurt as long as you cooperate. If the boss wanted to destroy you, you've never even seen it coming. We wouldn't be talking, get it? Okay, I will go. Not putting up a fight, the gangrel grunts. That's what I thought. Weak-ass Cammy. Ward said this would be easy, but I thought you'd at least throw a punch. He prods you with the gun through his coat as a concerned-looking couple passes by. What are you looking at? He growls at the mortals. They double their pace in the opposite direction, skittering away, clearly sensing violence that they want no part of. Wherever we're going, we'd better get moving. You say, barely able to hide your disdain. You've got their attention. They'll call the cops as soon as they're around the next corner. 𝒂💏 rumbles deep in his throat. You're starting to wonder if he's more beast than man. No wonder Ward was so desperate to free him from Key's jail cells. You doubt someone like this would hold up for long under advanced interrogation. 𝒂💏 leads you southwest to Somerset Street, following it for a few blocks past the ornate arch leading to Chinatown. Why would Ward want you here of all places? You watch for any other kindred or ghouls along the way. Nobody you recognize. The Camarilla aren't going to know you're out here. The gangrel turns right and heads north onto a residential street that would have been straight as an arrow if not for almost randomly placed concrete barriers circling individual trees crowding out the sidewalk. Eventually, you turn left into an empty lot between houses. It's an odd place for an assassination. Too many civilians, too close to the main street for a prolonged fight to go unnoticed. You let yourself relax, just a little. Briar, a familiar face, booms out of the shadows as Robert Ward steps away from a wall at the rear of the empty lot. Gone are his workman-like clothes. Smudged denim overalls have been replaced by fine Armani businesswear that must have been tailored specifically to fit his massive frame. He must be moving up in the world. The anarch points a meaty finger at an expensive-looking watch. I was getting worried, 𝒂💏, but you didn't disappoint. An unfamiliar voice speaks up from the shadows. You didn't tell me she was Toreador, Robert. I'm disappointed. The degenerates don't care about the reality of the world around them. Even their charity projects are exercises in vanity. You better be right about this. Oh my god! Oh my god, look! She has doggo! I have that doggo! I like her already! She may be edgy, but she has doggo! She has Rottweiler. I have Rottweiler. They look, okay, so these ones look intimidating with their red eyes, but in reality, Rottweilers are just big plush dogs. They don't care. They're very friendly. They look intimidating, but they're very friendly. Okay. The speaker is a young woman in a black tank top, a long knife held in her left hand. Moonlight glints off of a thick silver pin, holding her layered jet black hair away from her face, and twin Rottweilers sit obediently to her left and right. The dogs' bodies ripple with muscle beneath their short hair, and you have little doubt that they could tear a mortal to pieces in seconds. 𝒂💏 hands her the modified hand cannon that he'd herded you here with. It looks like it weighs a ton. Briar's clan doesn't matter, 𝒐𝒏. Ward says. You know that. If I judged you the same way, you wouldn't be standing here beside me. He turns back to you. I hope you'll pardon 𝒂💏 mythology. I would have retrieved you myself, but I don't dare to show my face that close to the hill. I should have made sure he treated you with a little more respect. I love Rottweiler, they are nice. Exactly, they're great. Okay, let's get to the point, please. Ward grins, as do we all. Better places to be, better times to bring to them. I'll get to the point then. Please do, 𝒂💏 says, crouching down slightly to run her fingertips along the ridges of the Rottweiler's heads. They don't take their eyes off you. We're on a timetable, Robert. You possess the ability. Oh yeah. I don't think I will do aspects here. I'm very hungry. Yes, I'm very hungry. I think we can trust Ward. I feel. I've brought you here because I wanted to give you the chance to choose a side, Ward says. A choice your sire never allowed you to make. He's taking his time, picking his words carefully. Before I left Ottawa, Prince Arundel told me something in confidence. At first, I didn't understand what he told me, but it makes a lot of sense now that Corlys is making a move to seize control. I was his failsafe, and you're a ticking time bomb at the foot of the throne. What the hell are you talking about? Your mind has been tampered with, Briar. I know you felt it in your dreams. All false memories have a way of slowly unraveling. I can fill in the gaps. You're wasting your time, 𝒂💏 says. She'll betray you the moment you turn your back. The Camarilla are all the same. Ward frowns. The Camarilla used to say the same about the Banu Hakim. I remember the stories they told me about the assassins when I was a fledgling. Assamites hiding in the dark to suck your soul right out of your body. Stereotypes based in history, sure, but they were left no room for nuance. Your people deserved better. So does Briar. A Banu Hakim anarch. You think quickly, trying to process every bit of information revealed to you, as if your existence depends on it. The assassin's alliance with the Camarilla is tenuous at best, at least in Ottawa. A defector to the anarchs would be bad news for those towing the line, like Kashif Salik. The Brujah turns his attention back in your direction. You can stay in the ivory tower as a comfortable pet, or you can learn the truth and stand beside us against the self-righteous licks who took your free will. It's your choice to make, and you're free to leave, whatever you decide. You've heard this kind of speech before, of course. It's anarch dogma to believe that everything a Camarilla vampire says is a lie, and that stands doubly true for those in positions of power like Corlys. Recruiting the child of a seneschal would likely be considered a significant win in Ward's eyes, and you don't doubt he twists the truth to bring you over to his side. But what if he's telling the truth? I'll listen to what you had to say, but I won't make any big decisions until I've had time to verify your story. That's good, Briar, Ward says. There's a lot we can get done together that will benefit us both. You set your jaw and give him a hard look. I never said I'd be joining the Anarchs. You've been comfortable near the peak of Ottawa's Camarilla society for too long to seriously entertain joining the rabble. But if Ward is telling the truth about your mind being tampered with, you're willing to listen to what he has to say. Ward rubs a thumb over the glass surface of his watch unconsciously. Even an untrained neonate could tell that he's on a time frame here. I wouldn't think of my request as joining the Anarchs per se, he says. Anarchs aren't an organization. We're an idea. You can help us build on that idea, but it's bigger than any of us. There are no membership cards, no official dogma. Be your own woman. The words sound rehearsed, but the look in his eyes say he believes in the product he's selling. Enough of this shit, 𝒂💏 says, cutting off Ward's speech. We don't have time for the big sell. She looks at you. I honestly don't care whether you work with us long term or not. Camarilla like you are reliable for one reason. You're selfish, and you'll do anything you can to maintain your comfortable existence. You want to keep your head? Maybe learn what's locked away in there while you're at it. She taps her forehead and clicks her tongue mockingly. Work with us. I mean, I'm inclined to work with them actually, but I don't want to join. So, cause like, but if I work with them, then I'll be kicked out. But at the same time, I'm good reputation. So maybe I can be like, hey, I was just pretending to work with them, you know? Because what they're telling me, that my mind is being tampered with, I don't think that's a lie. I feel like that's like a, they have to have something. They wouldn't just like push this idea. Use them for your own ends? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Alright, tell me what I need to know first. Ward glances at his watch. I've discovered that Corliss is working with the Tremere against the prince's wishes. She wants the Banu Hakim gone from Ottawa, just like she supported kicking out the rabble. She and Arundel never saw eye to eye on integrating what she considered the less desirable clans. You are an eyebrow. That's not exactly news. Then maybe what's happening tonight won't surprise you. You know all about it already, eh? The exhibition. The Tremere are going to bomb it, 𝒂💑 says. We tracked down their supplier last night. I only had to feed 2 of them to my pets before the 3rd one told me all about the warlock's plan. She reaches down to pet the dog's muzzles. You can't help but notice how sharp their teeth are. She looks back up at you. They riled up a mortal anarchist group and told them that the exhibition was their best chance to strike back at the capitalist elites. Normally, they just picket the place, maybe break a window, but I think some coercion was involved. Blood sorcery or mental manipulation, maybe both. Either way, there's gonna be a nice big cameo roast tonight. Don't you want that to happen? Yeah. Fewer Camarilla around is better for you, isn't it? We're not out to end everyone, 𝒂💑 says. Just pluck out a few weeds. Also, they'll think it was us, and we don't need the extra heat right now. Corliss won't be attending the exhibition tonight, Ward says. She might have already told you. I used to participate in those circles before I left the Camarilla. I know she can't stand Alicia's bullshit excuse for art. Boss, Harbor interrupts. The Pharaoh looks nervous. He's scratching at his face hard enough to leave marks. Something's wrong. A sharp crack echoes through the night, and Halberg's body jerks and falls flat on the asphalt. He growls and skitters to his feet as Ward and 𝒂💑 take cover behind the nearest garage, back to its cinder block walls. The Banu Hakim's dogs tense beside her, ready to attack at her command. Do I help? I think I should help. Especially, like, I stay and fight, because if he's destroyed, I don't know how my mind has been altered. I don't think I would die here. You hunch down and run toward the garage to join the Anarchs and regroup. The air beside you is humming with passing bullets. A stinging pain drills through your shoulder, followed almost immediately by a second shot tearing away a small chunk of your neck. Hunger grows inside you as your body mends the wounds. You duck in behind the garage just before a third shot takes your head off. Halbert cackles. Not so good at dodging bullets, eh, Cammy? Almost got your head popped off like a zit. 𝒂💑 grimaces and smacks the gangrel upside the head. Shut up and flank them, idiot. Planning on just sitting there until we're surrounded? On it, the Pharaoh says, and takes on off all fours around the other side of the garage. Who the hell are these guys? 𝒂💑 asks as a large hunk of concrete tears free from the garage wall. The snipers have you pinned down tight. Lights flicker on in nearby houses, and mortals yell out into the night. Small children wail, rudely awoken by the thunderous gunfire. Ward risks a glance back across the lot. 2 black-clad mortals have advanced, each carrying long knives and small ordnance, while you presume snipers cover their approach. Not Key's people, the Bruja grunts. The sheriff's a prick, but he wouldn't risk a goddamn firefight in a residential area. Fuck's sake, that's why we met here. If it's the ERT, we're completely screwed. All our biggest guns are back home. He looks to you. Harburg's gonna flush them out. I'll draw their fire while 𝒂💏 to their mutts. Will do what they do best. Prove you can carry your weight, Briar. No more time for thinking. Time to act. Your window to run is gone! Okay. I'll just... Should I... Celerity... Should I celerity... No, if I celerity, I'm gonna reach max hunger. I will die. I will lose control and tear up everyone, and that's a bigger masquerade breach than just celerity. So I will borrow a gun. I will borrow a gun because if I hit them with the melee, we might have to use a power. It's okay, we'll borrow a gun. Cause I think gun uses dexterity, right? Does it? I think it uses composure actually. How's my composure? It's 1. Oof. Yeah, okay, I will use gun. 𝒂💏 sniffs. If you don't like to get your hands dirty, you should bring one from home. But since we need to trust one another, she hands you a dull grey Glock 17 from a concealed holster on the back of her belt. You know how to use this, right? Another bullet peels off a layer of concrete close to her head, and she pulls back. It's standard issue. If you can't fire this, you have no business asking for a gun. You take the weapon and take a second to check it over. Yeah, I can handle this. Good, she says. Cover me. Ward charges first, shrugging off the brunt of the gunfire while 𝒂💏 lags behind, mumbling something that you can only imagine is some kind of ritual incantation. You've never witnessed 𝒂💏 blood sorcery before, but the rumors you've heard are terrifying. You cover 𝒂💏 with tightly aimed shots as the 2 men clad in chitinous black body armor rush in her direction. Your first 2 bullets ping off the armor, and the third, while better aimed, only grazes the small exposed bit of flesh along the neckline. It's just enough to knock him off balance, but not before he fires twice on 𝒂💏. The 𝒂💏 pauses her chanting and sweeps her leg low, almost gliding over the ground to take both men's feet out from under them with superhuman grace. Before they can rise again, you finish them off with your Glock. To your left, you catch a glimpse of Ward smashing in the head of the final charging attacker. You sweep your gaze over the potential hiding spots on the other side of the roof as you lean in low, making a minimal target of yourself. 𝒂💏's murmuring cease, and she stretches a finger toward the sniper on the other side of the road, curling it in a repeated come hither motion. The man gurgles and screams wetly as his neck tears open, blood springing forth in a crimson arc and flying through the air into her gaping mouth in a grotesque display of her power over the blood. The flow ebbs, falters, and slows to a dribble, and when it does, the sniper staggers, croaks out something unintelligible, and collapses to the pavement, smashing in his teeth with the impact. Well, I didn't need to use a power, but I think people will see that. She just blood magicked. Directly behind 𝒂💏's victim, you catch a glimpse of Harburg finishing off a second gunman, thick gristle hanging between his teeth as he jumps up and lumbers back toward you. Fuck, 𝒂𝒏, the feral grunts, spitting out a bloody mesh of flesh and cartilage. That's a good trick. Teach me sometime. I'd sooner teach a mortal, the 𝒂💏 spits. You hand back her Glock and she reholsters it with an appreciative nod. They aren't ERT, Ward says. He's kneeling down beside one of the bodies, pawing through pockets and pouches. Looks like mercenaries or zealots, not cops or spooks either. Wannabe vampire hunters. We might have gotten lucky. His statement is punctuated with the sound of approaching sirens. Spoke too soon. We got a rabbit. Harburg grunts and points at the mercs' bodies. What about them? That's Key's job. Ward says, if the sheriff can't control the cops on his payroll and protect the masquerade, then he's more useless than I thought. His shift's to look to you. I think you have places to be, Briar. Don't want to be missed at your little soiree. If both you and your sire are missing, it would paint quite a pretty picture. His mouth spreads in a grin, those large, too perfect teeth flashing in the moonlight. But who were they? You ask, pointing to the bodies. You have to tell me what's going on, or at least where I can meet up with you next. Look, Ward says, I'm glad you decided to help us. I'll be in touch within the next few nights. But for now, you need to get to that exhibition. Go on now. When you're clear of mortal authorities, you take closer stock of your appearance. Your formerly pristine clothing is covered with grit and torn in several places. There's not much you can do about it now, though. You're feeling extremely hungry after usage of blood over the past few nights. It might be worth a quick detour to feed. If worse comes worse, you need to be prepared. I need to hunt. I definitely need to hunt. It's always best to be ready for a fight. Prolonged use of abilities or sustaining injuries can overwhelm a hungry vampire quickly. It's been a long time since you last found yourself in a situation requiring an unscheduled meal, other than that young couple outside the burning warehouse, that is. But you had a choice then, right? This feels different. You're going out on the prowl again. The challenges and uncertainties of recent nights have revitalized the predator inside you. Tonight, your prey simply won't be handed to you on a platter. The choice of where to hunt is your own. There are a number of hotspots for feeding in Ottawa, and while you haven't been to each of them personally, you've been briefed on acceptable locations. Areas forbidden by the prince due to concerns of masquerade breaches, and personal hunting grounds of the city's primogen and notable coteries. Given reasonable travel constraints, you've determined a few optimal victim locations. Okay. We have a club, a park, a staircase. Oh, it's like like robbing someone, I guess. And then a station. Oh, you know what? Let's go to the station. Oh wait, or maybe the club. I think club is probably easiest for Toreador, I guess. Rising from the ashes of the legendary live music venue 𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, the 27 Club has become a prime hunting ground for kindred of all stripes for the last few years. Before the business changed hands, it had been exclusive to an elder Toreador, known to the court only as Vanya, no last name. She considered that detail important for some reason. Vanya had guarded her feeding rights ruthlessly. At least 3 neonates were brutally destroyed after feeding there, although somehow she had never officially implicated or punished, neither by Prince Arundel nor the erstwhile Prince Cranston. Not after the original owners left, Vanya herself disappeared, only to reappear from time to time at other venues throughout Ontario and Quebec. She never returned to Ottawa. You've only been to the 27 Club once since it reopened, a brief visit that Jordan practically begged you to take with her, but the stigma of the place was still fresh, and you didn't dare to linger for long. Since then, it's gained an excellent reputation among younger kindred, and Arundel officially declared it a free feeding ground for the time being. A well-built man in a checked shirt looks you over and nods before admitting you through the door. Instantly, your senses are awash with the pounding of punk rock music and flashing lights. The evening is already in full swing, and the floor is alive with the undulating masses, wrapped up in the euphoria of pounding drums and anti-authoritarian lyrics, whipping them into a frenzy of motion. Toward the front, a small group of metalheads periodically break out into a mosh, throwing devil horns and chugging beers, while younger punks look on, bemused by their antics and occasionally joining in. Ironically, of course. You chuckle to yourself. Mortals drawn together in group celerity, all in the name of individualism. The more things change, the more they say the same. You know what? A crestfallen young man has been very publicly dumped by his girlfriend. Lending a sympathetic ear should get me close enough to feed. You approach the young man with a sympathetic smile and lead him over to the bar. Thankfully, he's so distraught that he doesn't even bother to question your motivations. You buy him a beer and pretend to listen while he pours his heart and soul out to you in an endless babble of word soup that almost puts you off your appetite. Eventually, you tune out and just nod at the appropriate intervals until he finally stops talking and swipes sweaty fingers through his long emo bang. Wait, did he end with the question? I'm sorry, what did you ask? You say, pointing at the stage. It's a bit loud in here. I asked if you ever lost a soulmate, the person you know you were meant to be with. An unexpected flashback hits you, a cracking synapse in a long dormant part of your mind. A woman's face flickers into being into being wispy and ethereal like a ghost image trapped somewhere behind your eyes. You've seen that face, lost in the rage after Ward locked you away from the warehouse before it was lost in the explosion. Someone you betrayed before you became undead. A lover, somehow you can't quite remember, and then it's gone, as if it never existed. It's funny, I laugh. I can't quite remember, but I think I was in that situation once too. Bro can't catch a break. Yeah, immediately after getting dumped, get preyed on by vampire. The young man nods and takes a long swig of his beer. Yeah, I'm working on forgetting too. Maybe that's the best way to handle things you can't change. You pay the kid's tab and put your hand on his shoulder. Hey, let's go talk over there. You gesture at the far corner of the club, further away from the music and dancing. I can barely hear myself think. Yeah, sure, he says, sitting up and following you like a dutiful puppy. Now that no one's watching, he's all yours. I flirt with him a bit. If I can go for his snack naturally, he'll put up less of a fuss. The young man seems taken aback at first, but slowly warms to your idea. I just broke up, he quiets as you kiss him, but then spoils it by talking more. Is it really okay to move on this quickly? I guess, fudge it. He kisses you back with reckless abandon. And then your fangs pierce his neck. He tenses up and then relaxes all at once, and you have to prop him up just to keep your grip on him without bending down. You swear you can taste his fear and regret, but it's all bundled up in the freshness of youth, and somehow that always makes it sweeter. There you are, you whisper in his ear as you pull back and lick the wounds clean. Feeling better? No more worry? Just ride out the good feelings while you can. Yeah, he mutters. His eyes are crossed. Feels so good. You leave your victim there, all alone in his personal world of bliss. You can't help but notice that no one's come looking for him. He'll be better off without her. Your appetite largely sated for the moment, you decide to move on, always aware that there's a hunger for more that you can never fully extinguish. Okay, we're still like 2 dots hungry. Because you can only get like 2 dots from people before they die. Like, you can only get 2 dots from people unless they like pass out. They just like not die, like they pass. Like safely, that's what I mean. Okay, let's go. Alicia Gray's exhibition hall has been newly rebuilt, restructured from the ground up as a monument to artistic extravagance. Its exterior wall is masterfully crafted with a layered strata of subtly varied, roughly hewn stone bricks framing glass display windows that hint at the wonders to be found within. The effect is rather lessened by a nearly 20-foot tall banner proclaiming, "This week only, Canada's finest modern art." Though you suppose you can't fault Alicia for the gaudy advertising, the masquerade must be upheld, especially in these days of a second inquisition. Massive expenditures such as this, without steady stream of income, could attract the SI right to her doorstep, or worse, the tax man. The grounds are swarming with high society mortals, eager to get a sneak peek at the new exhibits, so they can brag to their friends that they were among the chosen few to view it first. Wealthy mortals are much like the kindred of Camarilla in some ways. When money becomes an afterthought, there are only 2 currencies worth caring about: prestige and raw power. Kindred generally covet the latter, but kind. They care more about what others think of them than what they think of themselves. Not that any of that will matter if there's a plan to bomb the place sky high. "This way, ma'am," a sharply dressed steward says, waving you to a door reserved for elite VIPs. You recognize him as one of Alicia's many ghouls. "Thank you, Jonathan," you say as the mortals watch you enviously. "I seem to be catching a few unpleasant glances." The Nogul nods. That is why the mistress suggests her close associates arrive early. But it can't be helped now. This way. It doesn't matter to me. Let them gawk. It's beneath me to care what they think. A slight grin pulls your cold lips taut as you regard the mortal's envy with detached indifference. Best that they know their betters and remain in their place. That's not really what I meant. I meant more like I really don't care what people think, kind of thing. Not that I'm better than them. "Thank you, Jonathan," you say as he ushers you through the door. "You're most welcome, ma'am." the ghoul replies. A quick question, you say, before heading upstairs. My clothing is in somewhat of a shambles. Your tailored clothes are, of course, impeccable, but after the business with Hallberg, they're wrinkled and torn, unseemly in several respects. Does Miss Grey have anything available for her guests? He's already on the case, perusing a long closet of formal wear, while eyeballing you to figure out your size. The mistress insists that her visitors fit a certain aesthetic. These backups may not be as good as a proper fit, but it will have to do. He pulls out a luxurious Givenchy suit and urges you to try it on. It's a little tight around the chest, but you can make it work. This is excellent, Jonathan. Thank you, you say gratefully. No trouble at all, ma'am. He shows you up the stairs to the observation mezzanine. Enjoy the show. As the exhibition begins, you find yourself in the midst of a who's who of Ottawa's rich and powerful. There is a wider variety of kindred at the gathering this time, with the notable exceptions of your sire, Henrik Lang and Vivian Meyer. Newcomers whom you only met once or twice before are younger, less powerful than their Primogen counterparts who took place in yesterday's council meeting, but no less influential in the world of mortal politics and business. Some of these younger vampires gawk in naked awe of their elders, while others put an equally revealing front of indifference to the centuries of collective power separating them from their betters. Soothing tones of inoffensively banal music ooze through the silver grills of speakers at all four corners of the mezzanine as a small throng of men in suits haggle over a deal with a shrewd-looking businesswoman you recognize as a local Malkavian. It's quite a lot to take in at once. Oh hey, it's like a cool looking old man in a suit. Alicia herself is speaking casually with someone you only know from the pictures in Corliss's files, a gray-haired rabbi named 𝑧𝒂𝒆 𝑰𝒏𝒇𝒐. He'd been here once before to speak with the prince about the slow integration of younger generations from Clan 𝑺𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒕𝒔 into Camarilla domains, a reconciliation between ancient enemies. Rumor has it that he presented both Arundel and Corliss with a magnificent gift upon his last arrival, further rumor suggesting that the gift was a sacrificial elder of his clan, staked, paralyzed, and at their mercy. Of course, unverified stories cannot be trusted in kindred circles, but either way you know better than to cross paths with the magisters. Jordan catches your eye from the other side of the room and waves in greeting. She's standing next to the glass, pointing something out to a bored-looking young woman dressed all in white. Alright. You know what? I'll talk to Key actually, because this is a very serious thing that's gonna happen. You find Sheriff Key lunging in the corner. To a casual observer, he might appear relaxed, but since fighting alongside him during the blood hunt, you're better able to read his body language. His muscles are tense, ready to strike like a snake at any sign of a threat, and his eyes are constantly moving, sizing up those around him with an almost paranoid fervor. His gaze softens as it lights on you, and he inclines his head in greeting. Briar, enjoying the ambience. I will just tell you outright that I was captured by Ward and he let me leave and warned me that the Tremere plan of bombing the exhibition. The sheriff's eyes widen in alarm. You saw Ward. Where is he? In Chinatown, north of Somerset. But I doubt, you say, he snuck around. He stuck around. The location's been compromised. Key is breathing hard with excitement. Some old mortal habits die hard. I'll need to run a sweep. He might have left clues. How did he find you? What did you say about a bomb? You go over as many details as you can remember from the encounter. As you do, Key's eyes narrow and he watches the room carefully. Be careful who you speak with about this. But why, you ask? Shouldn't we evacuate? Key shakes his head. He let you go. He wanted us to know. The only reason he'd do that is if he wanted us to react. Alicia has some powerful friends here tonight, and a show of weakness would reflect poorly on the local Camarilla at just the wrong time. Do you see her over there with the Rabbi Basaras? Isn't he as the Sombra, you ask? I thought they hated the Camarilla. The younger kindred of Clan La Sombra have been proactive about changing their power structures. In Chicago, they've been offering their elders to the Camarilla as consolatory measures. The clan has a history of attacking us at every turn, but times are changing fast. We lost most of the Bruja and the Gangrel, but gaining even a small faction of La Sombra could make all the difference. My personal feelings don't enter into this. It's the will of the prince. Okay. It makes good strategic sense, but we should keep a close eye on them. As I keep a close eye on any kindred in my prince's city, he says. Prince Arundel has a long history of inclusiveness when it comes to kindred that the Ivory Tower traditionally shuns or distances itself from. It's one of the reasons he inspires as much loyalty as he does. Not long ago, it was considered outrageous for Camarilla princes to host the Banu Hakim, but these nights they're accepted in almost as many cities as not. Things change. Well, we can't ignore the threat. No, we can't, Key replies. I'm going to step outside for a moment and talk with security. Let them know what you said. They'll be ready if something actually does happen. He gives you a respectful nod. If you'll excuse me. You hear a rising swell of muffled voices from below. A quick glance through the glass of the mezzanine makes it simple enough to pick out the source. A set of thick glass double doors lead from the main entrance into the exhibit below, and a crowd of mortals has gathered, impatient to be let in. One of Alicia's attendants has slipped in between the horde of well-to-do socialites and the glass. He hands his hands up in the air to placate the thrumming masses. The crowd hadn't been terribly pleased when they learned they would have to wait. An overly cultured voice calls softly to you from behind as you watch the mortal antics. It's quite a shame to see them like that, is it not? You don't recognize the voice, so you turn before replying, wanting to be sure you don't address someone improperly. Interesting. All your years in the Ottawa court, and you're not sure if you ever met this man before. Either he's one of Alicia's guests from somewhere elsewhere in the province, or he's simply unimportant enough to the local court to make it into Corlitz's files. Miss Briar Mare, isn't it? He asks. It's wonderful to finally meet you. Well, he certainly seems to know who you are. Oh, hey! He's got a neat looking suit. It's like red and like yellow shirt. Got long hair. The kindred in question watches you intently, arms crossed over a grotesquely outdated burgundy suit. Is that mohair? Pardon, sir, you say, but I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Gorski, he replies. The look of irritation on his face is unmistakable. He's displeased that his reputation, whatever it may be, hasn't preceded him. You shake his hand. Pleased to meet you. What were you saying about the mortals? I said it was a shame to see them like this. He sniffs, clambering at the gate to visit Miss Gray's little exhibit, not because they have an interest in the arts, but because they want to be seen as interested. The most enthusiastic among them reap the social benefits, although it says nothing about their aesthetic sensibilities. He inclines his head. The clan of the Rose understands these things, as I'm sure you're well aware. So he's Toreador then, and he wants you to know it. Why? Vanity? Or maybe he wants to find common ground. What can I do for you, Mr. Gorski, you ask. He squares his jaw, lips puckered with distaste. You're beginning to wonder if Gorski has any allies in the court at all. To the point then, he says. I have sent several messages to your side in hopes of securing a private meeting. Thus far, my requests have remained unanswered. His body language suggests that he's desperately trying to not look like he's about to ask for a favor, but that's exactly what he intends to do. Likely, he thinks he's being subtle. He's not. Gorski lets the unasked questions settle in the air around you two, like an unwanted stench that refuses to blow away, and bother some other soul unfortunate enough to become embroiled in it. You suppose you'll have to reply if you're to have any hopes at all of being rid of the man. Who is Gorski? I mean, he's a Toreador, but... Let's see what he says. So I'll lie to him and say that I will do it. I'll pass on your message to my sire as soon as possible. I have no intention of doing so, but I'll pretend to help if it gets him off my back. Gorski's expression shifts from relieved to greedy within a matter of seconds. That would be immensely appreciated, Briar, he croons. Yes. Tell her that her servants may reach my retainer at the number of the card that I had delivered to her last night. I'll be available any evening this week. He hands you a small business card, bone white with dark red lettering, subtle. In case you need to contact me personally, he says. You take the card and place it in your pocket. Enjoy the rest of the show, Mr. Gorski. I do believe I will, he says, before disappearing into the crowd. Well, hopefully that's the last you see of him. If fellow Toreador, I say help him. Yes, but at the same time, if the sire doesn't want to meet him, the sire's not gonna meet him, you know? That was my thought process. But at least we have his contact card if we need to talk to him. Below the glass of the mezzanine, the mortals begin to flock in from the main entrance, clustered into groups as they take in the exhibits below. They seem almost confused for a few seconds, as the first display appears to be an entirely blank canvas. 𝒂𝒎 disengages from a new vampire you've never met before and slinks towards you. Give them a minute and the fools will be explaining its meaning to each other, and don't be afraid to watch closely. The overlook window is one-way glass. The sire gives a raucous cackle and extends a boiled pucked finger toward another installation of dubious art, a rotting apple nailed to a piece of driftwood. A piece of Eden, she calls it. He dabs the edges of his eyes the way a mortal would wipe tears of laughter. I'm not one to pay compliments to a diva like Miss Grey, but I'll be damned if this isn't the most entertaining show I've been invited to for a decade. It's certainly odd. I'll give you that. I delight in the odd, 𝒂𝒎 says. Why continue existing at all without the occasional amusements? Oh, sorry. Okay. My dear Briar, Alicia says, walking up from behind you. The rabbi she'd been speaking with has moved on to talk with a small cluster of neonates. I thought you had better appreciation of my efforts here. She waves an arm at the window. Their reactions are the art. The contortions they resort to, the confusion or their faces blooming into manufactured understanding, masquerading as enlightenment. It's better than I could have hoped for. She looks up at 𝒂𝒎 and you can swear her eyes twinkle, even though Leper appreciates it. As fascinating as the artistic revelation is, you start to wonder just what you should say to Alicia about the bombing Ward has warned you about. For all you know, it could just be a hoax, but so far the Bruja hasn't exactly struck you as the kind of anarch merely interested in pranks or false threats. I feel like I should let Key handle it because Key is the sheriff. But maybe I can just try and like downplay it to her and warn her about it a little bit. So I think like when I was approaching, I overheard some mortals talking about assaulting an event to them. Maybe you should set guards. Alicia laughs patronizingly. Briar, mortals threaten our kind every night. After so many years among us, I would have thought you realized that it doesn't matter what they think or what they do. They're shadow. Spoken like so many kindred who recently found themselves at the mercy of the Second Inquisition, scoured by fire and sunlight. 𝒂𝒎 gurgles grotesquely. It sounds like something has come loose in his throat. He pounds a fist into his chest, and the wet rattling stops. Underestimate the mortals at your peril, Alicia. You promised us that this place of yours was safe, and if you don't care about your reputation, think about your delicate features. You don't want to risk losing a nail, do you? At least increase your security details. Alicia bites her tongue and waves a hand in mock surrender. Fine, but such mewling is hardly becoming for either of you. She waves over one of her aides and speaks to her quietly before turning back to you. There, we got it covered. Happy? Delighted, 𝒂𝒎 says with a scowl. I nod along with 𝒂𝒎 to say nothing. He flexes her fingers, lacquered nails clacking together like small knives. I won't have you two killing the mood. There are important dignitaries here, and I've spent far too long putting this together for it to be ruined by something as dreadfully boring as idle threats from malcontents. Speaking of, I should get back to my guests, if you excuse me. The sewer rat watches her go without comment. He doesn't seem even remotely disturbed by the diva's reaction. The floor jugs below your feet, smashing you against the window overlook. Glass cracks as you fall away, but when a second explosion rocks the entry stairs, a young woman flies backward from the impact, smashing the window into a million glittering pieces as she plummets to the concrete floor below. With the soundproof barrier shattered, screams of terror reach your ears. The mortals below are panicking, fleeing for their lives as the exhibits catch fire. God damn it! 𝒂𝒎 yells as he falls back from the glass. You guaranteed us sanctuary here, Alicia. Where was your security? Ms. Gray gets to her feet with surprising grace even as another explosion rocks the building. Smoke blows through the shattered glass, wreathing her golden hair like a dusky halo. Either my security team is dead or they soon wish they were, she growls. Fires start to flicker on the opposite side of the exhibition hall, and you feel the creep of feral fear tingling down your spine. For a moment, it looks like 𝒂𝒎 is about to attack Alicia. Flames dance in his eyes, and you're worried he may have lost himself to the beast. Fortunately, you're not the only one who notices the impending clash. He rushes forward and pulls 𝒂𝒎 away. Whatever words he says that calm the old sewer rat are lost in the cacophony of fleeing mortals and kindred. Alicia spares you a quick glance. What are you standing around for? It's an avant-garde exhibit, but I wouldn't stoop to such theatrics as part of the show. I suggest you leave as soon as you can. She whirls in place and adjusts her wrinkled dress as she stalks through a door leading further into the building, slamming it shut behind her with a melodramatic flourish. More than half of the mezzanine is empty by this point. Keys disappeared with 𝒂𝒎, the rabbi Alicia was talking to has vanished, and you just catch a glimpse of Jordan fleeing down the stairs out of the building. Something damp rains down from above, and you realize that the hall's fire suppression systems has kicked in, and you can't Sorry, I'm reading too fast, I think. You can't even hear it over the chaos, but it seems to be doing its job. The building will most likely survive the flames. In the back of the exhibit, through the jagged remains of the gallery window, you catch a glimpse of a trio in black. It looks like they might be planting another bomb. The attackers likely won't survive for long now that over a dozen vampires are after them, but it could look good on your part to track them down. Then again, you might have other priorities. He dropped the ball. Yeah, he really messed up on this one. Like, it's not my job to get them out of there. It's my job to inform people, and I tried to, but no one seemed to take me seriously. So I'm just drinking water. I'm not gonna try and save the woman. It's just one person. I think I will stop the bomb before it goes off. I'll try to. I don't know how I will. But because the idea is, I think if the bomb goes off, it will get worse for me as well. So I'm gonna try and do that, and it might earn me brownie points. You leap down through the broken gallery window, hitting the floor at a run. The flames from the previous two explosions have gone out. But if you don't act quickly and stop the intruders from setting off the next one, the whole place could come down around your ears. You run around a mountain of smoldering rubble, and you're clear of the smoke. When you're clear of the smoke, you nearly collide with three black-clad individuals holding what you can only assume is a bomb. Back off, one of them yells. He's holding a tightly wrapped package of what looks like gray molding clay. You recognize it from Corliss's training as a plastic explosive. In the chaos, it's hard to tell if the intruders are kindred or kind, but they seem nervous, and the fact they haven't exhibited any supernatural powers by now is conspicuous. I negotiate them. Because I have very high charisma and manipulation, so I'll try and negotiate. Take it easy, you say calmly to the intruders. We have the entire building surrounded now. The only way you're getting out of here is if you put the bomb down and come with me peacefully. You fucking kidding me? The man with the bomb says with a nervous laugh. I know you deep state types. If you catch us, you disappear us into a deep hole for the rest of our lives if you don't just have us killed. We're on to you. That's not how things are going down, you say in a calm, rational voice. You get a fair hearing, and your voices will be heard. This is Canada, not a third world country. We have due process. The terrorists on the right curses. I'm not going to jail. Wait. How much? I think charisma manipulation is the same, so it doesn't really matter what I do. So I think I'll just say, I promise you'll see your day in court. No one's gonna disappear you. But the man on the right says, but give her the damn thing, Alex. The one holding the bomb. You presume he's Alex. Takes a step toward you. Sweat has gathered on his forehead in large, heavy beads. He stinks of fear. Just do it, the other terrorist says. Don't fudge around, or we're all dead. Alex kneels down and places the bomb gingerly on the floor. Let's go. The other man grabs Alex by the coat, and all three take off toward a hole blown in the exhibition hall's outer wall. Halfway there, they collide with Jonathan, Alicia's ghoul who greeted you on the way in. For the next several seconds, all you can hear is the sound of screams and ripping flesh. The terrorist dealt with. You kneel down to look at the bomb. I give it the key. Key. Take it. You kneel down and pick up the bomb. As soon as you take it in your hands, a scream rips its way out of your withered lungs and you fall to your knees in agony. Feels like your hands are on fire and your base animal instincts cry out to flee. You drop the bomb, heedless of damage it could cause, and run headlong out of the building as your fingers blister and electric shocks of pain flash throughout your body. You felt this once before during your early training. It's a ward, blood sorcery. Briar, snap out of it! Jordan looks down on you with concern. You look around. You've somehow managed to get clear of the building before collapsing on the grass outside beneath a decorative evergreen tree. Let me see your hands. You lift your arms. They're covered in blisters and burns. Why isn't it mending? You ask shakily. Key says the bomb was boarded. She says, you're lucky. I've read that those things can dust younger kindred in a matter of seconds if they're not able to fight back against them. I called someone to help you. Can you stand? You get to your feet carefully. You'll be able to walk, but it's not going to be comfortable. I read about these things once. I should mend while I sleep, right? I think so, Jordan says. But it might be a few nights. Take it easy in the meantime, okay? Ottawa wouldn't be the same without you in it. Suddenly, Gerard is beside you, supporting you and helping you out. I'll take the mistress home, Miss Tremblay. You should attend to the others. What ended up happening? Did the third bomb go off? Jordan shakes her head. No, it needed to be purposefully activated. They make those things a bit more resilient than they used to. Almost impossible to set off just by dropping it. They had one of Alicia's dolls pick the bomb up and carry it out, Gerard says. Fortunately, the ward was only keyed to work against your kind, not mortals. He helps you walk to his car and sits you down in the wide back seat where you can recline. Jordan waves. He'll take good care of you, Briar. He always does. She nods appreciatively to Gerard. When you're feeling a bit better, look me up, okay? Gerard closes the door, and gets in the front seat behind the wheel. Even the rumbling of the car starting up causes your wounds to groan. All these years have numbed you to the concept of pain. Being able to mend almost any wound near instantaneously has saved you on more than one occasion, but it's left you paralyzed in the grip of a more enduring injury. Just relax, man, Jared says. I'll have you home in no time. So much bomb. Yeah, John Coroner, lots of bomb. Okay. I don't know if I can still continue. Like, usually I try and go to like 10:30, but the throat is not doing, like, the voice is not doing very well. I don't know if you can tell. I've been drinking a lot of water, but still. And then we just got to a new chapter, and I think it's gonna take me like that because the other chapter was quite long, I feel. Chapter 5. Maybe I think I can try and read until 10:30 and end it as usual. But if it's like midway through the chapter, we'll just end it, because I think that it's best if you rest. That's true as well. You think so? I guess it's best if I end this here, maybe, because like it's not, because if I continued, I will have to stop halfway through. Maybe not even halfway through, but like a little bit through the chapter, and that might not be a good place to stop. So maybe I will end here. Yeah? Yes? Is that okay with you guys? Is that okay? I assume that's okay with you guys. That's cool. Alright. Alright, thank you guys. Sorry that I couldn't last. I think it's because I was reading very fast as well. But at the same time, I did, well, that was only 2 chapters. The 5th chapter was like really long. Wait, was it 5th chapter or 4th chapter? I think it was 5th chapter. I think both of them was quite long actually, because the previous ones, they were like 1 hour, 1 hour. But these ones are like, it's been more than 1 hour. Yeah, fair enough. Alright. Thank you guys for coming. I'm sorry I couldn't talk more. I do have throat lozenges that I can use, so I guess I'll try. And I think we'll try and do a Parliament of Knives again on like Thursday. Possibly same time Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, I think we're going to play a different game. But on Thursday, we're probably going to do Parliament of Knives. So that gives you guys a few days to rewind if you need to rewatch the VOD and stuff like that. Because I feel like that's important for this kind of games when it's like story based. I'm excited for part 2. Yeah! I really like this game so far. I think this is like, if I recall correctly, let me actually check real quick for the reviews. The reviews are very positive for this one. Let me check the others as well. Yeah, they're all very, like, these are one of the very positive ones. There's like one Vampire the Masquerade text-based game. I think it's like Sins of the Sire. It's mostly negative. I'm not sure if I want to actually play that one. I don't have it. I saw it's mostly negative and then I didn't get it. But maybe it might be worth looking into, because like, if it's bad, we could always see like how bad is it. But I think if we do that, we should try and play all the good games first. But yeah, I think I'm just rambling at this point. You can kind of hear that I have a croaky throat. But yeah. So, I'm not sure if there's still anybody new in the chat right now. But if there's still like new people in the chat, we're ending this here. And then in the description, we got the Discord. And then also Twitter. You can join. Like, you join the Discord to join the community. And then for the... sorry, why say these things? And then for Twitter, you can, on Discord and Twitter, you can get my latest schedules. So yeah, that's about it. Alright, I will end stream here. Goodbye guys. You can't see me, but I'm waving. I'll just shake my head. Bye bye guys. Bye bye. Thank you for coming.